Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome, guys. Welcome to our Friday weekly Ask Me Any Stock session. I think some of you have already joined us. Thanks for being early, guys. Let's get started. This type of GM for good morning, guys. If you can see me, hear me, all right, you can see my screen as well. All right, let's get started today. So much to share with you guys. All right, the Singapore stock market today type GM for good morning. Let's see who is here. Hi, good morning, Ji-Sing. Good to see you here every Friday. Hi, hi, LS. All right, hi. We have Baksun. Hi, Pavlesh. Hi, good to see you here as well. Josephine, Rekha, John. Hi, Andy. All right, there's a question. Is recession expected? All right, let's see. Andy Wong, good morning as well. Sustin, Florin. Okay, good. So welcome, guys. This is working. Let's get started. Welcome to our AMAS session today. And today we'll be looking at the Singapore market, So if you are new to this entire, Ask Me Any Stock session, essentially, we do it every Friday. We've been doing it for a couple of months since the beginning of the year. All right, since the beginning of the year, every Friday we alternate between the US and the Singapore market. All right, so last Friday was US. So today is back to Singapore stocks, right? It's back to Singapore stocks. Very simple, right? We'll go through a quick market outlook, some of the factors that have been affecting the market, and we will go ahead to cover the S&P 500 index, all right? And since today is Singapore, of course, we look at the Straits Times index, the STI as well, right? And after that, then we will dive into the Singapore stocks that you guys want a quick opinion on, all right? And what you want to do is to type in the chat later, all right? Later, step by step. And that's where we will go through very quickly, round robin style, me, and then Bervyn and Z. We'll just go through all your Singapore stocks one by one, all right? So that it is. And one thing I want to say is that at the end, right? So make sure you stay all the way to the end, all right? Where at the end, we will go through 3 Singapore stocks, right? 3 of us over here, right? So that's where each of us will share one Singapore stock that we like. Yeah, some pretty good bullish signals coming out on my indicator. All right? It looks to have more upside, all right? And that's where targets could be raised. You would want to put these stocks in your watch list as well, all right? So let's get started, right? So would it be okay, guys, if you help me to like and share? Just do me a favor, help me to like and share this live stream. We are live on YouTube as well and Facebook. So let me to like and share so that we can reach out to more people. All right. And also, when we go live in the future, make sure you also subscribe in case you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel so that you can be alerted, when we go live in the future as well. All right. So like and share, subscribe. There should be a bell icon at the top in case you have not yet subscribed. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Hi. We have Chester as well. All right. So let's get started. Today's session AMAS. Okay, so I want to introduce myself in case you are new, right? In case you're new, you have no idea what's this, or you're scrolling through YouTube and Facebook, and you're just first time over here. Well, my name is Joey Choy, top tier retail trader in Philips Securities, and I have, I'm focusing on what we call stocks, right? I'm focused on the Singapore market, the US market. So anything to do with stocks, that's my forte. I've been doing it for more than a decade now. I do have some programs, training whereby I impart my knowledge to thousands of people from all walks of life in Singapore. All right. So, yeah, I'm also a broker in Philips Securities, one of the top brokers here. All right. And work with thousands of clients as well. And I have my team with me today. Let me just introduce to you Bervyn, right? Bervyn, who has been with me for more than 4 to 5 years now, also one of the top brokers under me in Philips Securities, conducting our group coaching sessions, our one-on-one calls with our mentees, and also assisting our team's portfolio manager with the managed account as well, right? So maybe I can pass on the mic to Bervyn to just share a little bit on what he will, talk on today.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Joey, for the introduction. I think by now, everybody will have known that every Friday, me, Joey, and Z will conduct this ask any stock session or ask me any stock session. So I believe everyone here, is quite curious about where the market is heading. I think the STI is going up to the new high, but could we sustain this high is the next question. All right, so today I think we are going to try to cover as much stocks as we can. But so sorry that if we cannot cover all the stocks that you guys requested, because there are just too many requests. But we'll just try to pick on the more requested ones. So try to give us a little bit of context so we can actually try to help you, get a better insight on it. So don't just say Singtel. So you maybe want to just let us know, are you looking to buy or sell Singtel? or you're holding, or you're intending to get in, things. This is a little bit of context, and if you have gotten in, what is the price you have gotten in as well, so we can actually have a better view or overview of what you are looking at as well. All right, so now I'll pass the time back to Joey to continue his introduction.
All right, thank you so much, Bervyn. Yeah, so exactly, guys. No, later when you type the name of your stocks, I mean, today we're looking at Singapore stocks. Please don't type Apple or Microsoft inside. All right, we're looking at Singapore stocks, so DBS, all right, Keppel, whatever, right? Singapore stocks. So give us a bit of context, right? Give us a bit of context, like don't just put one, Sheng Siong there or like or DBS there, right? Give us a bit of context, like are you looking to buy? To sell, all right, maybe you've got in last year, 10 years ago, I don't know, right? But give us a bit of context, and that's where when we kind of like do a bit of a analysis for you, we have a bit of idea what actually are you looking for, all right, to get in or to get out, all right? So that would definitely be helpful. Okay, so let me pass on the mic to Z, but let me just quickly introduce Z first. So Z is also one of the top brokers under me in my team, in Phillip Securities as well, and she has been doing this as well. One of I would say conducting our group coaching sessions, our one-on-one call with our mentees, and very, I would say, expert, right? An expert in what we call anything to do with technical analysis, because Z is what we call a chartered market technician, right? Of course, she's very well versed, and Bervyn as well, very well versed with my one good trend strategy and the indicator that we are using kind of like to analyze your stocks. All right, so let me pass on the mic to Z just to share a few words.
All right, thanks, Joey. Hi, everyone. My name is Z, a big fan of charts and trends, and the key thing is to make technical analysis simple and actionable and easy for you guys, right? So yeah, I've been with Joey's team, since 2020, earned my CMT in 2024, but very often during AMAS Live and any other live shows that you see, right, you often see us using the 1GT Pro indicator, and that's actually one of my go-to for spotting strong trending stock without the noise, right? Because it's simple. With a click of a button, a few seconds, you can actually have a quick opinion on the bullish and bearish signals as well. So without further ado, I'll pass the time back over to Joey to kickstart today's session.
All right, thank you so much. So let's get started, right? We'll try to cover as many stocks as possible. Sometimes we cover about 15, sometimes 18, sometimes 16, 20, all right? We'll do our best, right? Our apologies, guys, if we cannot cover all your stocks, then you can probably join us in the next session as well, all right? But apologies in advance if they cannot do that, but we'll do our best, all right? We try to take maybe 1 or 2 minutes per Singapore stock. Okay, so just a quick disclaimer, right? Whatever that's being shared today, and of course, all our live session is just for education purpose only, right? So please do your own due diligence, a little bit of homework as well, all right? It's not really to ask you to buy or sell anything, or not to buy or not to sell, all right? It's just to give a little bit of value to you, give you a bit of an idea, all right? So you know what to do, right? So just a quick disclaimer. So let's get started right now. How many of you want me to cover what we call the markets very quickly before we cover your Singapore stocks? Just type M for market, guys. If you want me to just go ahead to cover like the market, right? And meanwhile, give me some time to look at all the stocks that you guys have already typed in the chat, right? So type M for market, guys, if you want me to cover the market, maybe if like 10 of you. So I think we have like more than 100 of you joining us today. Let's see, right? Market. Hi, Chicken. Hi, M as well. Dave, Cynthia, John, Andy, M as well. Mars, hi, Mao. And market. So I'll just go through the market very quickly. Hi, Salon, good to see you here as well. So a lot of familiar names. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. But let's take a look at the markets right now. So this is what we call the S&P 500 index. Let me just give you guys a quick overview. I mean, if you have been following me over the past few AMAS sessions, right? I've mentioned that, the market has looked more bullish, I would say, since like end of April or maybe early of May. Why? Because we actually saw a 1GT bullish signal coming out. So you can see that, I've like immediately turned it on, but I have this indicator right over here called the One Good Trend Pro indicator. So you can see in a matter of seconds, right, on any stocks, even the market, right, you can turn it on and turn it off, all right? Pump, there we go, empty, all right? It's just the chart, the price chart. Turn it on, there we go, right? We have signals coming out to guide us whether to buy or sell, all right? So you can see for the market, right? Well, I talked about it that in February, right? In February, we actually got 2 bearish signals coming out. And the short-term trend based on the green 20 days moving average line actually started to turn down, right? Since February, that was even before April, right? Before Trump introduced the reciprocal tariffs and, it's a tit for tat war with China to 145% tariffs and all that, right? That was even before that, right? So February, we got 2 bearish signals, right? Pump. And it starts going down. And I mentioned that you want to be cautious, because when we get bearish signal, it just means that some heavy selling in the market. We have to be patient. We have to wait for the selling to finish, all right, to find a bottom, all right, and some good bargain hunting coming back. Then we think about getting in. And true enough, right, AMAS live sessions over the past few weeks, right, we talk about these bullish signals coming. Of course, they started to push higher. The short-term trend turned up as well, all right, and we have pushed from about 5,004 all the way to 6,200 plus today, all right. So we have been covering this over. You can watch the replays on YouTube, guys. I mean, every show, even for today, right, the replay will be on YouTube. You can check it out if you miss any parts. So you can watch the replay, right. We have been talking about this reversal for the past 1-2 months already, right? So now let's take a look at what is happening at S&P 500 index. So let me go to draw this very critical resistance level. So you can see that over the past 1-2 months, the question is, why are we actually seeing signs of a reversal? So previously, right, I know in February, April, well, of course, due to the tariff that was being announced, market sold off, right? It was a bit uncertain with Trump kind of introducing, kind of like policies here and there, right? But I would say since like May, trade tensions between US and China have cooled off a little bit, right? Just 2 weeks back, we have a China and US meeting as well. There's some ongoing trade deals that were announced, and like even in Trump is also kind of like negotiating with other countries. I think like 2 or 3 days back there was a deal that was made with Vietnam as well, and so there's a lot of positive news coming in terms of the trade front, right? Whereby Trump is not as aggressive as in April, whereby he just introduced the reciprocal tariffs, and then everybody has to follow. Of course, he put it back down to like 10%, and then all the trade deals started. So I think all this has already been priced in. People are more bullish, right? And of course, a few weeks back, there was the Middle East tensions that escalated between Israel and Iran, all right? And then US got in the picture as well. That has kind of cooled off a little bit as well. So I think the market is starting to be a little bit more bullish with all this, slowly, all these bad news, getting out of the way, all right? And that's exactly what we're seeing right now, right? We have broken the very key level that I've been talking about for the past 2-3 months, right? The 6,150. Look at this, guys. I mean, we neared it somewhere in December. We came down, neared it, came down, 2 bearish signals all the way down, all right? And over the past 1 week, finally, we went above the 6,150 psychological resistance. So I mentioned 6,150 and even 6,200, right? That would be a very key level. And yes, even the 6,200 resistance gave way as well. So if you look at all the news article, right? Well, S&P 500 to a new record high, even Nasdaq broke a record and all that, right? It starts coming in. People are more bullish. And I think that's exactly what is playing out right now. And you can see that over the past week, well, as we attempted to break the resistance, well, now we don't just have one bullish signal. We have another one that just came out. All right, of course, we started to push a bit higher. All right, now it's 6,279. So I think we are definitely looking more bullish, guys. All right, looking more bullish. I think it could really be the start, right? The start of a higher phase, whereby targets could be revised to 6,004, maybe to 6,500 for the S&P 500 index, as long as we stay above like these new support levels. Let me just go to draw these new support levels, because that was the resistance level. So 6,150 to maybe even 6,200. This would be what we call key support. So by any dips, we could start to see potential buying pressure coming back in the market as well. All right. So overall, I think we look bullish. The short-term trend is still pointing up. We got another 1 GT bullish signal coming out. I think targets could be revised even higher, maybe to like 6,500. That could be like a near-term target before we consolidate again. I think that would be healthy to see a bit of consolidation, a bit of a pullback. That's better than moving up every other day, right? It's good to see a bit of a sideways movement before attempting to push even higher. So that's the market. I think we are definitely looking more bullish, all right, with all these bad news slowly getting out of the way, all right, and that's why I think we are kind of like breaking this resistance to push even higher. All right, so that's my view on the S&P 500 index, right? Pretty much in line with what I talked about over the past few AMAS sessions. Let's take a look at maybe what we call the Straits Times Index, the STI. Since today, we're looking at the Singapore market, right? Let's take a look at the STI. Let's take a look very quickly. So you can see I've turned on what we call the One Good Trend Pro indicator. As I say, right, even for the markets, you can turn it on and off. Let's go pump off on it. And very quickly, you can see for STI, well, we have been in a pretty good longer-term uptrend as well. Look at the red 100 days moving average line. and the blue 200 days moving average line, they're both pointing up, right? Not just last week or last month. I mean, since like last year, it's been up since quite long already, in case you're still wondering when, all right? It has been in a very strong longer term uptrend, right? Of course, we form higher lows as well, right? In the longer term. However, in the short term, doesn't mean you will always go up. Sometimes can come down, right? Look at this, a bit of come down in April, right? Trump introduced tariff, it start coming down. Over here in August, starts coming down, right? But every time it come down, we get a new 1GT bullish signal, and it bounces even higher, all right? Come down, we get a 1GT bullish signal, it bounces back up. Does it make sense? All right, so I think right now, the ongoing reversal is still happening. And you want to take note of this very, very key level for the STI. I talked about it. I think you should know, right? This level, I would say, is a very key psychological resistance level. The 4,000 level. Look at this, right? I mean, we were right over here in March, all right? We're right over here in March. Of course, after a few days later, Trump announced tariff. We got a 1GT bearish signal and it starts crashing all the way down, right? So you can see that over the past few days, in fact, right now, this is live, guys. I mean, the market is trading, right? So we are now at 4,006, right? 4,006, all right? Which is 4,006, which is still above the 4,000. I think this is a very, very critical psychological resistance over the past 3 days. I would say since like Wednesday, right? We have actually attempted to go above, right, the 4,006. So we have stayed above for Wednesday, Thursday, today, Friday. We're still above it. I mean, it's a bit of a profit taking, all right, a bit of profit taking today, which I think is normal because I mean we have like gone up like almost like more than a week up, right? So I think it's good to consolidate a little bit, a bit of profit taking. But if we can stay above 4,000, maybe up to next few days or maybe up to next week, I think that's where we could also start to see a bit more strength in the Singapore market, right? Of course, with the US pushing higher, it could lead the Singapore STI index as well, right? So I think we have seen quite a bit of strength in many of those Singapore stocks as well, the blue chips, even some of the mid caps. Later, we can see if we can cover any of those that you're asking about, all right? So this is the Straits Times index, all right? So very good. So let me go ahead. Let's see who is here today, all right? If you're just joining us, guys, welcome to this Friday Ask Me Any Stock session, all right? Let me just go ahead to change, right? Bervyn, Z, can you help me to change the title, all right, the banner, all right? I think it was. So welcome, guys. Welcome to this Ask Me Any Stock session, whereby we are looking at the stocks that you guys are asking about. So I just covered the market, right? I just covered the market, and today we'll be looking at what we call the Singapore stock. So I've seen quite a lot of you place the Singapore stocks in the chat already. So very good, guys. Go ahead just to help me out. Place in the chat the Singapore stocks that you want a quick opinion on, all right? Place in the chat Singapore stocks that you want a quick opinion on. I'll go through very quickly and I'll just try to pick one before I pass on the mic to Bervyn, all right? So let me see this time in the chat, guys. Any of the Singapore stocks that you want a quick opinion on, let me go ahead to choose what is good, all right? So let's see. Okay, so I think we have let's see, we have Andy Tan. Let's see, Andy Tan, right? Okay. Good morning, Joey. CSE Global is on the upward trend. Wonder why not in your radar? Well, actually, it has been in my radar for a while, but haven't, there are still a lot of bullish stocks, so I haven't really got the time to share it. But let me go ahead to take a look at CSE Global right now. That will be the very first stock for today, the first Singapore stock, CSE Global. Let's take a look, CSE Global. And there we go, right? So I've drawn some analysis because I was watching it a couple of weeks back. But let me just remove all the drawings. And you can see that this is CSE Global right now. So I hope, Andy, you're here, all right? So I think it looks pretty good, like 61 cents. And let's see. So I think, when I look at this stock a couple of weeks back, it was actually below this key resistance level, right? Look at this, right? We were actually below this 48 cents or 50 cents kind of resistance, whereby since last year, we touched, came down, right? A couple of times, look at this, right? A couple of times we just neared it and we came down, right? We were just consolidating sideways. All the moving averages, the red line, the blue line, were moving sideways for more than a year, right? I would say almost a year, right? Just moving sideways. But however, right, finally, we got a bullish signal coming out in May. And we got in June, right over here, in 5th of June, we got another 1GT bullish signal coming out. And after we broke the 48 cents, right, hovered for a week just above it, and finally it started to push higher. So I think not too bad, right? Not too bad, Andy. Not too sure if you are looking to buy or maybe you have got in. I think we are looking a little bit more bullish right now. The fact that we broke the 48 to 50 cents, the uptrend could still be ongoing because this bullish signal is still playing out. And if you look at what we call the 20 days moving average, the green line that represents the short-term trend, you can see that it is still sloping up, right? So as long as it slopes up, we're above it. I think the short-term trend still is intact, or even the longer-term trend based on the red and blue line, they're both starting to slope up slightly as well. All right, so I think not too bad. Maybe if I can draw some horizontal support level for you, maybe we might see a bit of a support around here. Right, you can see there's a bit of a resistance, maybe about 5.7, 5.8 that we might see a bit of a what we call a support level. I can turn on what we call the trailing support, right? Trailing support line right over here. Let me turn it on. And there we go. So you can see, right, when we got the first 1GT bullish signal, we have a trailing support popping out. And this trailing support, like I've mentioned, right, it gives the stock space to breathe, right? You know, it allows it to move higher and it follows it as it moves higher, right? But follow doesn't mean you follow too closely, right? You give the stock space, you account for the volatility of the stock, and you don't want to follow too closely. But as it moves up, it follows it up, right? Follow. And you can see as it follows, there's some space between the price of the stock and the trailing support line. So overall, you can see we are still above the upward moving trailing support, whereby there's some space. So, you know, that it's a bit lower because there's some volatility space that we give the stock to breathe, right? So I think as long as you stay above like maybe the 55 cents or 57 cents, I think it looks pretty bullish. Right? We may even see more upside. I think targets could be maybe to 65 or even to 70 cents, right? So CSE Global, definitely one of the stocks in my watch list. We got alerted to it somewhere around June, started to push up. And that's one of the stocks that you can watch as well. All right, so let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next Singapore stock for you guys. Bervyn, all yours.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so let me just throw up my screen right here. All right, so I think Wilson. Hi, morning, Wilson. 6CL SIA is price sustain supporter, can we enter? I mean, great question. I mean, for SIA, I think in the past month or so, we actually saw that actually achieved like a multi-year high, touching that, getting very, very close to that 720 level before we had that 1GT bearish signal actually coming in and prices falling below that $7 psychological support. Once again, I think it's one of the stocks that we have been watching as well. I mean, it's just moving up and down, a little bit in the range right now with, I would say, the temporary support right around that 660 level right now, right around the 660 level right now. We can see a little bit of a bias actually previously also coming in as prices approach this level. All right, so I think right now we are trying, prices are trying to hold above the $6.95, $7 psychological level. As of today, it seems like yes, there's a little bit of bias this morning coming in, but I think it's still a little bit too early. I mean, we're about 2 hours into trading. Maybe it's still a little bit too early to say if prices will be sustained, but at least right now we still have this 1GT bullish signal, still in place since the 1st of July. So I think the upside, I think I've drawn this line right here, could be up to that 720 level first, as a temporary resistance. Okay, so if that temporary resistance, all right, Wilson is able to break through, then I think the upside towards the 750, could be the next target that you can draw up to. But I think if you are thinking of entering right now, I think if let's look at the shorter term trend, you can see that 20 days moving average still not pointing up just yet, still not flattening out just yet. So I think you can set up some alerts, but I don't think you need to be rushing in at this point as well, because the upside towards 720 may not be sufficient for you as well. So you want to wait for that 20 days moving average, flatten out a little bit more first before entering. But at least the longer term wise, if this is a longer term holding for you, or if you intend for it to be a longer term holding for you, at least that longer term trend is currently still in your favor. All right, okay, so if I were to just turn on like what Joey have done as well, that trailing support line is right around that 680 level. So if you were to get in, I think roughly around that 680 level, if it breaks, all right, if it breaks, you want to have some alerts being set up, some stop limit orders, all right, with some being set up right below that 680 level to get out as well, because this has taken into account some volatility of the stock. So if it's given breathing room to breathe and then it still breaks, obviously not too good already, right? So this is for SIA. I think a couple of alerts that you can set up, couple of key levels to take note of, but so far so good for the longer term trend. All right, so now I'll pass the time to Z to cover the next stock for you guys.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think the next stock that I'll be covering, right, will be by, let me see, where's the comment? By Shah, right? Shah is actually asking, can still buy Valuetronics now? And then I saw your follow-up, you were saying that you actually perhaps might miss out on Valuetronics and you're thinking whether is it okay to get in now. So let's take a look at Valuetronics, right? So first thing first, in terms of the trend, definitely look great. Long-term trend, short-term trend, all is aligned. All three moving averages are pointing up, and we do see 4 consecutive 1GT bullish signals. So that's great, right? That's great. So I mean, at least you are thinking about buying a stock that's in an uptrend, not in a downtrend, okay? So, but the thing is that when we are thinking about buying into a stock, we don't want to chase a stock, right? If the stock has gotten too high and it has probably went up quite a bit, we don't want to chase a stock, because once you chase a stock, there could be scenarios whereby you could be stuck near a resistance, right? That could be one problem. And then price, profit taking happened, price came back down, and then you stuck and don't know what to do. That's what we are trying to avoid, right? So the key thing when we are thinking about buying in an uptrend is that we want to buy near a support, right? We want to buy near a support. So when we are looking at Valuetronics, where would the support be for us to, identify the potential buy zone? So definitely right over here, as you can see, I've already drawn this one of the key levels here, which is the 70 cents, right? 70 cents, this level, previously back, in February 2025, all the way to, June, right? Just a week back, right? We can see that price was kept below this 70 cents, and it was actually a resistance, right? It was tested here, 3 times, 4 times before it finally broke above it on 26th of June, right? So this 70 cents, I would say, is one of the key support level for Valuetronics at this point in time. So definitely when we are thinking about buying, you want to buy near a support zone, which is, potentially near a support level. So somewhere around here, let me just change this to green. So this could be one of the potential buy zones that we can be looking at, right? Because right now we can see price is trading at about 0.745, which is very near the 76 cents, right? And the thing is that how did we get the 76 cents in the first place? How do we even get the targets? You can see that, like I've mentioned, from February all the way to June, price have been trading within this range, as we can see. And if I were to do a simple projection up, we can see that, 76 cents is actually initially one of the targets, right? And it has hit these targets over the past, past couple of days, right? Whereby profit taking actually returned, and that's actually normal, right? That's actually normal. And right now, price is at 74, 0.745. And if you are thinking about entering at this point in time, near this level right over here, I would think there would be some sort of temporary support happening. But the thing is that the risk reward ratio that you might think of might not be ideal, because it is very, very near to the 76 cents, right? So like I've mentioned, one thing that we want to take note of is to buy near the support zone. And I would say that, the key support level for Valuetronics at this point in time would be about 70 cents, right? That's the key support. And we want to buy near the support zone, probably, 70 cents to about 72 cents. That could be one of the potential zones that we can look at. All right, Cha, I hope that helps. Maybe you can take note of some of the levels here and perhaps even set some price alert near the 70 cents. Okay, so that will be for Valuetronics. Passing the time back to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Let me go ahead to share my screen and I'll cover the next Singapore stock. All right, I think we have some questions, right? Let's see, Alan. This may sound silly, but where do one get the one good trend marker, or probably the indicator on the chart? Is this a feature on Poyum chart? So guys, basically this is an indicator, all right, that I have, and if you want to test drive it, we do have to test drive it. Just place the link. Can we team tell me just place the link in the chat? So guys, if you want to find out as to how on any stocks, any asset classes, you can quickly turn on the bullish and bearish signals to guide you on when to get in and get out. The link is right in the chat, right? So test drive my one good trend light indicator. So we're using the pro indicator, whereby it's a little bit more advanced, but the light indicator just comes out with the bullish and bearish signals. So go to test drive it, and that's where you could turn it on and off. There's some trainings provided as well, all right? And that's how you get it, all right? So it's not on Poyum's for info, right? So the link is right in the chat, okay? Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on, guys. I want to share with you guys the next stock, and that would be right over here. I think one of you is asking about LHN, right? Okay, let's see. We have Yung Chao Cho, right? Chao Cho, hi, good morning as well. LHN, I bought at 0.35, right? And took some profit recently. Any chance for LHN to go higher? First of all, congratulations. I mean, you have got in at 0.35. That would be somewhere over here. I think maybe even, yeah, maybe somewhere at the end over here. So I think it's pretty bullish, We've started to push even higher. And now it is at 70%. So you come like doubled, right? Doubled. So let me go to analyze for you LHN right now. One of the stocks that have actually been now watched this for quite a while. I think the longer term trend is up just by looking at the red and the blue line. The short term trend based on the green line, you can see it was actually down from February all the way to April. But then somewhere around like May, it started to turn back up. Look at this, right? And obviously the short term trend is still pointing back up right now. So very quickly, as I say, right, I have this 1GT Pro indicator. The link is in the chat, guys. Go ahead to click on the link if you want to test drive my one good trend light indicator. So let me just show you where you will be, right? So you can just click on the link in the chat and you will come to this page right over here, right? Most incredible free gift ever in the market. Test drive my one good trend light indicator for free. Guides you on when to buy and sell based on the bullish and bearish signals. So that's the page you lead to. Go to test drive it, click on the button, and that's where you could have access to this indicator as well. All right, Ken. So let me go back to LHN and let me just turn on the one good trend pro indicator. So very quickly, 1, 2, 3, pump. And let's see what it says, right? So you can see, right, Yung Chao, we got some bearish signals coming out in February, down. So I'm not too sure. I think you got it maybe about 0.35, maybe somewhere over here or maybe even earlier. But right over here, we got two 1GT bullish signal coming out. Not one, but two, right? In April, in May, we got one more. And you see it started to push even higher, all right? Started to push even higher. So I think back to your question, you bought at 0.35. You took some profit. Good, right? Nothing wrong to take some profit, right? I mean, you can take half, take 1/3, take 1/4. It's up to you, right? Put some money in your pocket. You feel more confident and you leave the rest to ride even more, right? Of course, what you want to do is to take steps to protect your profits, right? You don't want your profits to become smaller and smaller and then worse, become a loss, right? You want to take steps to protect your profit. So my take is this, right? I think for LHN, it looks pretty good, right? We got two bullish signals. Obviously, there's no bearish signals out. I mean, this red bearish signal is not out yet. I mean, you can see nothing here, right? So it looks quite okay, right? It looks quite okay as long as we stay above those support levels. So I can see that maybe we might have found some support over the past few days, maybe somewhere around that 0.68 to 70 cents. That could be a little bit of a horizontal support. And one of the things that I could do is that, based on this 1GT Pro indicator, I can also turn on what we call the trailing support and resistance. Let me just turn it on. 1, 2, 3, pump. So very quickly, right? When the bullish signals came out, you can see a trailing support pop up. It follows LHN since April as it moved higher, right? As it give it space to breathe, right? It follows, follow, right? And obviously, you can see that we are still above the trailing support. So as long as we stay above the trailing support, that is around the 63 to 64 level, it looks quite okay, all right? It looks quite okay. So you can see that I've drawn this horizontal support at about 68. So that's slightly higher because the trailing support, as I say, it gives the stock space, right? So it's slightly lower than the horizontal support. So preferably, if you think you can get in near a trailing support or maybe near a horizontal support level, it doesn't come down, that could be a good entry as well. But I think overall, it looks pretty bullish, right? Targets could be revised. Let me see, right? So I think it likes to consolidate in a bit of this range, right? From here to here. And now it seems like it's consolidating higher, maybe towards that 75 to maybe to even 80 cents if the 75 cents were to give way as well. All right, so this is LHN. I think it looks pretty good. Any chance for LHN to go higher? Well, I think if it holds above 68 or maybe above 64, it looks bullish. All right, you could take steps to protect your profits to ride even further, right? And how can you take steps to protect your profits, right? So as I say, right, you got in at 35 cents. You're confirmed making money, all right? What you want to do is that you don't want these profits to be eroded, right? You want to have what we call like a stop loss. Like for example, you could set a stop loss below this trailing support level. As I say, it gives it space, right? So you should be above it, right? So you could set a stop loss kind of like below this trailing support, maybe at about 62, 615, the kind of thing, right? So if it were to break below, well, we would get a bearish signal. And that's where you could get out, where you still make money. So you can see, right? If you've been following this trailing support and raising your stop loss upwards, well, That's where you have been taking steps to protect your profits along the way. And if LHN continues to push even higher, that's where you could raise your stop loss even higher and higher, right, to protect your profits. All right, Yungcha, I hope that helps. I hope that's how you can use it to take steps to make sure that you keep your profits and it stays with you. All right, so let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next Singapore stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so let's see, going down the list here, Rizal is asking, should I start selling my bank shares now, which I bought during COVID-19? Oh, wow. So there's been quite a while since a long holding period. And your follow-up, which are the best stocks to buy now for capital appreciation and dividend, since I don't have the time? Guishok, since you are asking about the bank stocks, maybe I will just throw up the screen right here for DBS, which I've done a little bit of analysis on, but I'd just like to cover, since you are actually thinking of buying, all right, that means you shouldn't be actually thinking of selling your bank stocks at this point. So it's more of where is the trend going to be heading for the bank stocks. So can you continue to hold, or can you even accumulate even more of these bank stocks to actually get in on those higher dividend yields, or that sustain the dividend yields for the three Singapore banks? And I think Singapore banks remain a very, very attractive capital appreciation instrument, with a lower end or more predictable ranges that you can actually see as well. So right here on the screen, we actually have DBS, all right, one of the three major banks in Singapore. We can see that I think in the past month or so, we actually see a little bit of a sideways movement. Prices actually just going up and down between a range of like a $43 to about the $45 range, right? This is also shown by that 20 days moving average, very, very much flat, parallel to my horizontal and horizontal lines already, almost parallel already. So it's of right now, I think we are pretty much, all the banks are in a consolidation phase at this point. I think still being kept under that key resistance so far, that 45.50, 45.40 resistance level. DBS is still being kept under it, tested it a few times already. So I think this is actually a very, very normal price movement, but we are on the higher end of a range already. So definitely, if you are thinking of buying, not just yet, but if you're thinking of selling, if you're thinking of looking at other opportunities, yes, we are very close to that resistance. So like what Joey, what Z, what our team has always said, it is completely fine, completely okay to take some profits. You have ridden it since the pre-COVID level, so I think you are, of course, sitting on a very, very good gain or profit. Since if I'm just taking back from 2022 up to now, just a random date from 2022 up to now, sitting on almost a 80% profit already. Okay, so it's completely okay to take some profits. But if you are thinking that, should I consider to actually buy more? Actually, it is, I would much rather, or we would much rather you buy when the stock is heading up than the stock is heading down. No point to average down if the trend is weak. You are better off actually buying when the trend or the longer term trend is actually strong. Whereas in this case for DBS, I would say that the longer term trend is still pretty much very, very strong right now. Very stable, very healthy uptrend is still intact. So if you want to actually buy, maybe perhaps you can set up some alerts where if the prices break above that 45.50 level, I think a new support could form. But of course, that would mean that prices have to hold above this new support level about 45.50. But right now, not just yet. Maybe we can see a little bit of more of a sideways movement going on before prices actually break up. Right, so nobody can actually tell you if prices are going to break up, break down, continue to move sideways for how long. I think no one's an oracle that can tell you. But at least if prices break above, try to spot those bullish candlesticks that could come in. All right, so of course we got that 1 GT bullish signal still valid at this point, still playing out. This signal came in on the 23rd of April. No new signals just yet, means no new exit, no new entry as well. So I mean, if prices break above that support at the resistance to form a new support, perhaps another 1 GT bullish signal could actually come in for DBS, and that upside, like I've drawn, to be towards that $49 or even maybe that $50 psychological level. So I think maybe the market is waiting for a little bit of a catalyst to actually push above that resistance level. So if you are looking to protect some profits, I think Joey just demonstrated this just now, using that trailing support, right? Trailing support, you could actually protect some of your profits by actually just placing, right? Placing a stop limit order or placing a stop loss order, depending on the platform that you use. Also, you can actually protect your profit. So if prices were to hit higher, break above that 45, 50 level, then of course you need to shift your stop loss up. You are already sitting on some good profits, right? You don't want to be eroding too much of those profits as well by not setting up any alerts, not setting up any stop limit orders. I mean, we want to try to continue that capital appreciation that you are already actually enjoying, and also that dividend exposure lah. It means you continue to hold those shares, you continue to enjoy that dividend, or sometimes even that special dividends that DBS continues to give out. All right, okay, so 𝐓𝐡𝐞, I think I hope that helps you for DBS if you are holding DBS. All right, so now I'll pass the time to Z to cover the next stock for you.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think the next stock that I'll be covering has been requested quite a lot of times by different people, right? Number one, I saw like Selston, you're asking about Singtel, right? Whether to sell. Then I saw Kunaf also asking about Singtel because you have bought at around $3 and whether you're thinking to hold or to sell now. Praful also asking about Singtel. Gopal also asking about Singtel, and lastly, EK also asking whether can you buy Singtel at the current price, right? So right now we have a lot of people that is looking at Singtel, so let's cover Singtel, all right? So for Singtel, first thing first, uptrend. I don't really need to talk about it, right? The longer term uptrend looks beautiful. It's intact, you know, red and the blue line. It's definitely still pointing up, right? It's definitely still pointing up. But in terms of the short term wise, when we look at the green line, which is the 20 days moving average, we have started to see some signs of it, you know, slowing down, and it has started to flatten out, right? Since, you know, May, right over here, right? It has started to flatten out. It's not as steep as the red and the blue line. So right now, what we are seeing is that price is trading about $3.86, right? And one of the support level that we can actually see is right over here, right? At this $3.70 right over here, when price actually broke above it and it tested this 370 cents for about a month, right? You know, April all the way to May, and it managed to hold above this level, right? And this is one of the immediate support level, I would say, right now for this Singtel. And in terms of resistance wise, definitely it will be at a $4 psychological level, right? One time it was tested here, two times it was tested here. This is where all the selling came back in, profit taking happened. You know, price came back down, you know, near to the 370, did not even go to the 370. Buyers came in already, and right now it is at $3.86, right? And we do see a 1GT bullish signal right over here on 28 January, right? And it is currently still playing out. So let's just take a look from the 1GT bullish signal. It came out to where we are at now. It is about a 20% rise in price. So the question is, you know, whether should you buy, should you sell, where should you buy, where should you sell? Maybe let's take a look based on some of the key levels. All right. So for Kunaf, right, you bought at Singtel at $3. You are probably sitting on a lot of profits right now. Congratulations to you. And if you're thinking about selling, one thing that we always say is that, you know, when prices is near a resistance, that's where profit taking can return. That's where selling pressure can return. And as we can see right over here, $4 is the psychological resistance, right? So in terms of selling wise, is it okay to sell near the resistance? I would say it's perfectly fine, right? To take some profits near the resistance, especially when prices goes back up to the $4 and retest the $4, right? This could be one of the potential zones to actually take note in terms of taking some profits. And in terms of those of you who are thinking about buying, right? Let's say, for example, like for EK, right? For EK, you are thinking about buying. Where can you potentially set up some price alerts for a buy zone, right? Number one, definitely, you know, like the support level that we have mentioned, somewhere near the 370 level, right over here, right? This could be one of the areas that we can thinking about getting in, you know, accumulating on the dips, especially so when the longer term trend, the red and the blue line, is actually still heading up, right? And if prices is actually able, you know, if it goes up and down, and it's able to break and hold above the $4 level, potential upside targets that we are looking towards will be about 430. Why did I say 430? Simply because it is a projection up from this range. Like you can see over here, you project it up from the $4, it's about the 430 level. So that could be the next potential upside target if prices can break and firmly hold above the $4 psychological level, right? Especially so when it has consolidated sideways before pushing a leg up higher, because that is a sign of a sustainable uptrend, right? So for Singtel, these are some of the levels that you can potentially take note of. I hope that helps for some of you guys who are actually asking about Singtel. And now I'll pass the time back over to Joey to actually cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much. Great analysis by Z on Singtel. Let me move on to the next one, right? So we try to move on very quickly. Let's take a look at the next stock, right? And that would be 𝐻𝐡𝐞 Financial Holding, all right? Let's take a look. I think Jeannie, you're asking about it, 𝐻𝐡𝐞 Financial still can buy at 88 cents, maybe to 90 cents. Let's find out. I think we have one question by Jay as well. Let me just answer it, right? How does 1GT look for STI? So Jay, maybe you just joined us, but essentially we have covered the markets right at the beginning. We covered the S&P 500 index and even the Straits Times index, the STI. So if you missed it, you can watch the replay, right? Later we'll do a sharing of all the stocks that we've covered. So in case you miss anything, guys, we will not cover the same stock again, right? You can watch the replay, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that's where you can watch in case you miss any parts, right? So let's go ahead to look at the stock that Jeannie is asking about. Jeannie Tan, 𝐻𝐡𝐞 Financial still can buy not at 88 cents to 90 cents. So this was one of the stocks that we actually shared with our clients in Phillip Securities. Let me know, guys. How many of you are actually clients of mine in Phillip Securities and you actually got a WhatsApp about on 2 days back on Wednesday? This type of C, guys. For client, if you have a trading account under me in Phillip Securities, you're a client of mine in Phillip Securities, that's the type of C. If you're a client and you also receive a WhatsApp on 𝐻𝐡𝐞 Financial Holding like 2 days back on Wednesday, let me know, guys. Let's see who is the client over here. I think we have quite a bit of clients maybe joining us today. Hi, Chi Sing, Vincent as well. All right, Yvonne, Victor, Celia, thank you so much for the support. Catherine, hi, Dave, Andy. So a lot of clients over here, guys. Thank you so much for the support. So for those of you who are not yet a client of mine in Phillip Securities, sorry, in case I forget to introduce myself, right? My name is Joey Choy, all right? Top tier reminds you. Also a stockbroker in Phillip Securities, whereby we work with thousands of clients with my team as well, and we share some of the top ideas by WhatsApp daily to our clients for free at no additional cost. All right, so I'm not too sure where you're trading, but you probably need a trading account to trade. I mean, to buy and sell stock, you need to have a trading account. So if you want to join all our clients over here, like Salong, Savaraju, wow, thank you so much, Yeri, John, Kunav, Selston, and to get ideas like much faster by WhatsApp daily for free, check it out. My team has placed the link in the chat, and I think all my clients have actually got WhatsApp from me, all right, on 𝐻𝐡𝐞 Financial Holding. I'm going to talk about it in a bit, but just want to share with you guys in case you're like scrolling through YouTube and Facebook, you're trading on your own online, you have a trading account, you just log in and buy some stock on an app and something like that, right? Nobody care about you. Nobody send you anything, no ideas, no video, no training, no WhatsApp, nothing. All right, like a hotline or what you need to call and wait for like 10 minutes. Link in the chat, right? Link in the chat. Check it out. Link in the chat. All right. Check out how you can get some of our top ideas by WhatsApp daily for free. All right, like many of our clients over here. Okay, let's move on. Guys, to 𝐻𝐡𝐞 Financial Holding, which I actually shared on Wednesday because it looked really bullish then, and I think we have kind of like pushed higher. I think when I started the note, it was like about 76, 77 around here. You have pushed up to 865, about 10 cents more already. But why did I actually cover this stock? Look at this right over here. I think we were actually consolidating for 𝐻𝐡𝐞 Financial Holding. I've got my alerts that were set, right? 77, 77.5, 78, 79, ting. All the alerts were set, right? Why? Because since April, quite boring actually, since April, May, June, it was like sideways, like, go up, then go down, then up, then down, up, then down. We were always below this 76 cents resistance level, a very key level whereby there's a lot of sellers always come back and push it back down, right? And the short-term trend, look at this, right? The short-term trend based on the green 20 days moving average was a very good bullish move. Look at it, it was in January this year. The green 20 days moving average line was like up all the way, and it started to go like a bit of sideways, which is correct, right? I mean, as I say, we were consolidating sideways over the past 2 months. So the short-term trend was sideways, very boring. But however, on Wednesday, ding, all right, I got a lot of alerts because we finally broke above the 76, 77 cents. All right. So I got my team to send out a note. Of course, it has gone a little bit higher. So I think it looks pretty bullish. And let me show you guys why was I alerted. So essentially, as I say, I have this 1GT Pro indicator, which I forget to turn on. Let me just turn it on for you, right? 1, 2, 3, pump. And there we go, right? There we go. Actually, on Wednesday, we had a 1GT bullish signal coming. In fact, right, this is a month back in May, we have one, right, whereby, it was just kind of consolidating. We needed a confirmation for it to break that 76 cent, right? So it was just, got a bullish signal, but it went sideways a bit. However, the second bullish signal came on Wednesday, and yes, we did finally break the 76 cent resistance. It went to like 77, 76 half, right? And there we go, right? I got my team to send out a note, and I think we are kind of like making our way back up. So let me just go back and see that in the past few months as well. In fact, since last year, September, we also got another 1GT bullish signal. And you can see all the way up from here to here, we got a bearish one, 107%. 107% in about 6-7 months, right? I'm not too sure whether this bullish signal will lead to 107%, but that was what happened, right? That was what happened. You can see we got a bullish signal, it consolidated, same thing, right? It was very boring, was up, down, up, down, up, down, down, and pump, right? We broke what we call a resistance. So there would be what we call like a resistance over here as well previously. All right, look at it over here. So same thing, right? Green line flattened out, very boring, and then finally we broke the 4.2, 4.3 pump, and there we go, right? Something like what we're seeing right now. We broke the resistance, sideways, break, pump. All right. So if you can like kind of like take this and then you like kind of let me show you what I mean. Let's say you take this, right, and then you paste over here. Does it make sense? I mean, I'm not too sure whether we could do something like that, but we were consolidating, we break a resistance, we got a new 1GT bullish signal, and I think it's starting to look even more bullish. So what could be where selling can actually come back? So I would say right now, because we have gone up by quite a fair bit. I also did not know it would go up so fast. I mean, it was like about 76, 77. I thought it might go to maybe about 82 or 80 over cents to be a bit of profit taking, but you can see that 80 cents have broken as well, and we've pushed maybe to the 88 level. So I think right now, if I can draw this psychological resistance level, I think it will be about 90 cents. I think 90 cents will be where some profit taking can come back. Like in fact, I think just today, I think we headed to a high around 885, a bit of profit taking. That's normal because it's gone up by quite a fair bit. I mean, from when we covered it all the way to here, it's about a 15% in 2-3 days. I think it's quite a lot, right? So I think people take some profit. That's normal, right? That's normal. So I think right now, what you could do, Genie, is that I'm still bullish on this stock, right? I'm still bullish on this stock, but I think that right now, as we hit to 90 cents, some people might want to take some profits, right? So we could wait and see if there's a pullback, a little bit of a pullback, maybe a support has been found, right? Maybe we might see some support being found around that 85 cents, right? That is just kind of like a temporary support level. We need more confirmation because it's only like 1 day, but let's assume like in the next few days, next week, right? We consolidate above 85, we go to 86, 87, then we go 90 cents and then come back down, and then we might just start to consolidate again, right? Up and down, up and down, up and down. And after that, pump, it breaks 90 cents. I think that's where we are making our way up again with targets maybe to $1, right? So support could be maybe 85 to 86 cents. It's only 1 day. Let's wait for more confirmation, but that could be where entry can be taken again on slight dips to ride even more upside, especially if the 90 cents were to give way. So as long as we get this bullish signal coming out and that there's no bearish signal, then I think it still looks pretty okay. All right. So this is 𝐓𝐡𝐞, one of the stocks that we actually shared with our VIP clients in Philips Securities, like many of our clients over here. So those of you who are not yet, I say again, if you're not yet a client of mine in Philips Securities, you are trading, you have a trading account, very good, but you don't get any service, right? No ideas, nobody WhatsApp you, nothing. All right. You don't get any ideas, right? The link is already in the chat. Click on it, check it out, find out how you can, come on board as a client of mine in Philips Securities for free at no additional cost whatsoever. You pretty much pay the same as whatever you pay when you're trading, all right? No additional cost, okay, Ken? Just to be clear. Okay, so that is 𝐓𝐡𝐞 Financial Holding. Let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next Singapore stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so let me just see. Okay, here I see my name. Okay, chill haircut, Bervyn. Thanks for noticing. Is the food empire consolidating, maybe more upside? Oh, okay, great question. I think this is one of the stocks that also like Joey had mentioned, we sent out a couple of notes to clients as well. But I think in the more recent days, you're right, Hans. I think I will agree with you that a little bit of consolidation is actually happening for food empire, which I don't think is a bad thing. I in fact pretty much prefer stocks that consolidate. Like in this case, food empire, consolidate, right? Consolidate for a little bit, push higher, consolidate again, All right, so this is all signs of a healthier uptrend, building a more sustainable stock pattern or a more sustainable pattern in the share prices actually happening. So I think for Full Empire, actually see quite a bit of growth already. Quite a bit of growth from the first 1GT bullish signal that I'm pointing out right here, 26th of Feb this year, all the way up to its high. That's a 100%, a flat round 100% gain already in about 4 months. So I think that is a pretty good up move already, but could it be a sustainable up move? Could we see more upside? I think that is a very, very valid question. Why? It's because, as you can see, we have this 1GT bullish signal coming out here on the 23rd of April. No exit signals just yet. No new 1GT bearish signals just yet. We have prices being kept pretty much under that $1.90 level. You tested twice already, once here. Second time it broke above that 190, but actually a little bit more bearish candlestick actually came out on the day it break above. We actually saw sellers actually come back in to actually push prices back down, closing prices at the 190 level, 188, 190 level. And then the next day, another bearish candlestick actually came out as sellers came in once again. And in the past 4 days, it has, I would say, pretty much been a little bit flat, not much price movement just yet. I think it's a little bit hard to say if prices are going to be hitting and breaking above that 190 level now, or if prices will head down towards that 170 level before a rebound actually happens. Because I think this 170 level have seen quite a little bit of buyers actually having some interest coming back in as prices approach this level. So I think right now, Hans, you want to just be a little bit aware of these two levels, maybe about 187 to 190, and the buy zone or the support zone maybe about 170 to about 174. Have some alerts being set up. All right, so you will know what to do if prices hit towards that 190 level. Perhaps you can expect a breakout, and if that breakout actually happens, or if the breakout happens, you could actually see that upside heading towards that $2.10 level. So I think this $2.10 level is just a simple projection we have done previously from the 170 all the way up, bringing it up to that $2.10. So definitely, I would say if that 190 level gives way, right, it's definitely a new up phase for Food Empire. But not just gives way, not like on this day it gives way, but actually close right below it again. You want prices to actually, or you want the stock prices to actually hold above that 190 for a few days, and then yes, in that case, maybe even deploying like a breakout strategy could be a way to actually ride the next up move. Right, so if I just turn on that trailing support level, you can see that that trailing support level is actually very, very close to that 170 level. So I'm not too sure if you are currently holding on to some Food Empire, Hans, but I think if you are holding on to it, just use that trailing support as a guide, all right? As a guide for you. If prices hit higher, you want to have that the trailing support definitely hit higher, and you want your alerts or your stop limit orders to be shifted up as well. So I think another signal to that you can actually set up would be using that 1GT Pro indicator. Set up a buy or sell alert. Just now Joey demonstrated like a normal price crossing alert. But actually, if you have the 1GT indicator, be it the light or the pro, we are using the pro. But if you have the light indicator, you can also set up that buy or sell alert to get yourself alerted to that next 1GT buy or sell signals. So once you receive the alert, not just don't do anything. You gotta come in and then make sure that your alerts are being adjusted, your stop limit orders are being adjusted as well. But I think right now, I would say for Food Empire, longer term trends still definitely up. Shorter term, you may expect a little bit of a consolidation, but so far so good for Food Empire. All right, Hans. Now I'll pass the time to Z to cover the next stock for you guys.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think the next stock that I'll be covering is by Miffy, right? Hi, Miffy. Nice to see you here again. You're asking about 5TP. So I believe that will be CNMC Goldmine. Should you hold or sell because you bought at 0.336? So I believe this was actually one of the stocks, if I remember correctly, it's one of the stocks that we covered in our previous AMAS Singapore session as well. And as you can see, some of the lines that I've drawn, they are still here. So let's talk about it, right? So for CNMC Goldmine, longer term uptrend definitely look intact. Short-term trend flattening out, so we might see some weakness, but we can take a look at some of the levels, all right? So definitely we do see quite a number of 1GT bullish signal, right? The first one came out right over here in 18th of March. Subsequently, we have one on 28th of March. And then we have on this very day, 7th of April, right, whereby we have a 1GT bearish signal. But this actually, this day, right, was the day where, Trump announced the tariff with China and, the tit for tat whole thing actually happened. So entire market, not only CNMC, right, a lot of the stocks that we see in the market, Singapore market, US market, a lot of them actually dropped on this very day, right? And subsequently for CNMC, you can see that because this is related to gold, right? This counter is actually related to gold, and gold is usually, a safe haven, right, for a lot of the investor. And we can see that very quickly price rebounded back up and hit the highs of about 46 cents, right? And this is definitely one of the resistance level that we are actually looking at, right? Because this is where we started to see profit taking happening, right? Selling came back, pushed price back down, and then on April all the way to May, for this one whole month, this was where we saw buyers came back in to support the prices, right? And this is at the 40 cents psychological level. So I would say 40 cents psychological level would be one of the key support, immediate support, in fact, currently at this point in time. 40 cents is also one of the psychological level that we should also take note of, right? Because this is where we know buyers came in to support the prices. And along the way, we can see, the support levels actually went higher, right? And when support level went higher, it's actually also a good thing for stocks, because that's where we know buyers are willing to come in and buy at higher prices. So 40 cents would be the immediate support, and 46 cents would be the resistance. And you can see right over here, this red color box that we have drawn previously. This level, it is near a resistance, right? So in terms of thinking of whether you should sell, if you are thinking about selling or taking some profits, right, you can consider to do so near the resistance level, but it might not be a full position, right? It could be half, 1/3 position near this 46 cents, because as you can tell, back 2 times, even 3 times, right, when it neared it, this is where selling pressure actually returns. So it is okay to actually take some profits near the 46 cents level, especially so, when you got in at 3.3, near 3.35, 3.36, right, this level right over here, you are already sitting on about, 30% profits. And one other way that maybe you might want to consider is to actually use the trailing support and resistance function, right? So this is one of the functions that you can use effectively to actually maximize your profit in a sense. Why? Because when I turn on this, and just now, like what Joey and Bervyn probably would have mentioned, right? This trailing support actually trails the prices as price moves up, right? As you can see, price move up, it trails, go sideways, go up, go sideways, go up, go sideways. So it actually follows the prices when price moves up. So right now, we can see that, the trailing support is somewhere near the 40 cents, right? And you can see this red dotted line that I've drawn previously. This was when perhaps we have covered this stock, maybe somewhere back in early of June. And this was what I've mentioned as well, right? We can actually set a stop limit order slightly below the trailing support to actually protect your profits. And as the trailing support moves up, that is where you can also shift your trailing support up to protect even more profits. So that's one way you can continue to ride the uptrend while protecting the profits by raising your stop limit order. Okay, Miffy, I hope that helps. Maybe that's one of the things that you can consider, to perhaps, if you like to take some partial profits near the resistance, it is fine. Otherwise, you can make use of the trailing support function to ride the uptrend and protect your profits even more while the trend continue to push up even higher. All right. So that would be for CNMC Goldmine. I will pass the time back to Joey to cover the next stock.
Okay, let's move on to the next stock very quickly. And I think we have this stock as asked by Cynthia, right? HongKongLand, should I sell or hold? So I assume you have bought the stock. Not too sure exactly when you bought it. It could be last month, last year, or last week, but essentially you have the stock. Should you hold it so that you can maybe go up some more, you can make more money, all right? Or maybe you want to take some profit. Let's go ahead to find out right now. So this is HongKongLand, you can see right up here. In fact, HongKongLand was actually one of the stocks that I shared. I got my team to send out to our clients in Philips Securities. As I say, guys, if you want to get some of our ideas like this much faster by WhatsApp, all right? The link is right in the chat. I just place it again in the chat again. And that's where you get some ideas much faster by WhatsApp on a daily basis. So let's take a look at HongKongLand. You can see that the uptrend has been intact in the longer term since last year, August. Look at the red and the blue line. Look at the red and blue line. I mean, it was like flat, right? Flat in June, July, August. So at a point in time, I was not really looking at it. But I think somewhere around like, end of last year, you could see the longer term trend actually started. And of course, we had a couple of like bullish signals, number 1, number 2 coming out. And we, of course, started to hit even higher, all right? About 30%, 37% in about 5 months. And a bearish signal, we went down a little bit. So let's take a look at what has happened. So over the past like 3-4 months, since like March and April, you can see that we will kind of like consolidating, right? Same thing below this resistance level. So a little bit of a resistance right over here, right? Somewhere around that $4.70 came down. But finally, we got a 1 GT bullish signal appearing somewhere around like 25th of April to be exact, all right? When we actually attempted to break this resistance level. And of course, the green, look at the green line. So the red and blue line, that one has been up since last year. No issue, right? But the green line, that was flat for the past, like, since December all the way to April. Where we got the 1 GT bullish signal, it started to point up as another confirmation, all right? And that's where we really started to rally, right? So let's go back to your question. I think it looks pretty bullish right now, Cynthia, because the 1 GT bullish signal that's in April, triggered in April, is still playing out. Obviously, there is no, bearish signal over here or here or here, haven't come out yet. I don't know whether it'll come out, but, it hasn't come out yet. So I think it still looks pretty bullish. But what could be like where some profit taking can come back? Well, I would say that right now, we may see some profit taking maybe around the $6.50 psychological resistance level. So back to your question, right? Should I sell or hold? Well, if you want to take some profit near that 50 cents, I think there's nothing wrong. I mean, 640 something, 45, 42, 48, 40 something, you want to take some profit, nothing wrong, right? Because that's where potentially some selling pressure can come back. So for me, it's like, nothing wrong to take some profit, put in your pocket, you get a bit more confidence, maybe it comes down a bit, you can buy again, right? But what about the rest of the shares that you're holding? Because you take some profit, right? You're still holding on to the rest, right? Do you just hold like all the way and then you can't back all the way down? Or, or do you hold and then you take steps to protect your profits and hopefully move even higher, right? And let me show you guys what I mean. So basically for Cynthia, what I would say that, well, we would see, I would say maybe a horizontal support level around that $6, right? That could be a horizontal support level, all right? You can see that we are kind of like seeing a bit of profit taking near 650, coming back down. But let me go ahead to turn on what I call the trailing support level very quickly. Look at this, right? When we got the first 1 GT bullish signal, as I say, the trailing support pops up. It followed HongKongLand, right? Up, flat, follow, all the way until where we are right now, right? So you can see this trailing support, it gives HongKongLand space to breathe, right? Hopefully it can move up higher, right? I can tell you, if we continue to move up higher, this trailing support, this green line, will continue to follow. All right, I don't know whether it'll be like that, but it will continue to follow it up higher, right? And the point here is that as long as we stay above it, I think it looks bullish, right? So back to your question, should we hold? Well, as long as we stay above maybe the $5.90 where the trailing support is, I think it still looks bullish. However, if we were to go below, all right, below the trailing support, maybe below 590, right? You go to 585 or 580 something, right? But then not so good, right? That's where, we give it the space to breathe, and it should be above it, right? Because we give it the space, right? But yet, we give you the space, but yet you use up all the space and you go below it, well, something is wrong, it's looking a little bit shaky, right? Especially if the short-term trend turns down. You want to be careful. So that's where, if that happens, well, then you can take steps to reduce your exposure, get out, right? Lock in your profits. Don't, let it go all the way back down. And then you say, oh, Joey asked me to hold, and then I hold all the way down. No, right? Don't do that, right? Hold doesn't mean hold all the way down, right? Hold, right, to a level whereby, it breaks the support, you get a bearish signal, well, you get out, right? But if not, then you continue to ride. Right? You raise your stop loss, right? As I say, the trailing support moves up, you follow, and you go up. You go $7, you go $7.50, you go to $8, you raise it up even higher. So you give the stock the space to breathe. You allow your profits to ride, all right, so that you don't cut it short, especially if there could still be more room to go. All right, so that is my take on HongKongLand. I think it still looks quite okay. Anything worth $6 or maybe above that $5.90, it looks pretty bullish. Maybe a profit taking is happening right now because we have seen quite a huge spike over the past few weeks. All right, so that is HongKongLand, right? Cynthia, I hope you get a better idea. Okay, so let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next stock.
Thanks, Joey. Okay, so let me just throw it up right here. I think Styler, hi, good morning. Is Wilmar still on a downtrend? Can add more at around 290. So just getting a little bit of context from your question, that means you are actually currently still holding on to some Wilmar. All right, so you're looking to actually add more. Okay, that's what I'm getting. So I'm just looking at the chart right now. I think overall prices have fallen quite a little bit. I think from its high of about 450 right now, prices are trading very, very close to that 285 support already. So if you are looking to accumulate more, I think first thing first, we try not to accumulate shares that are on a downtrend lah. Yeah, so I think that is why you're asking whether it's still on a downtrend. Okay, so right now if we look at the longer term moving averages, right, the red line is above the blue line, and the red line, the 100 days moving average, is still pointing down. That blue line, that 200 days moving average, is also pointing down, and that 20 days moving average, this one you really cannot bluff ourselves. The AI is very clearly pointing down also. And then we also have that 2-1 GT bearish signal, signaling that I think in the nearer term we could experience more weakness actually coming in. So I think all signs point to the downtrend still being intact as of right now. All right, so I think prices have rebounded twice. Okay, twice from this 285 support level, heading as high as up to 330, as high as 330 quite a few times. You have seen one time here, second time here, third time, and then right now where we are right now. All right, so I think in the nearer term we do not see any strength coming in from the 20 days moving average. At least we gotta wait for that 20 days moving average to at least flatten out and point up at the same time before we actually even consider to actually get in. Because my worry is if prices are not able to break that psychological $3 level. You've seen quite a few times it actually went up to that $3 level and then it comes back down as well. If it is not able to break that $3 level, we may see weakness back to that 285, and that 285 gives way. Right, gives way. I think the downside even towards that 265, maybe even 270 level could be possible. So I think we try not to accumulate on a downtrend. You want to actually consider a strategy to actually preserve your capital. In fact, if that 285 level is broken, perhaps maybe it's time for a stop loss as well. So I think Joey and Z have shown many times the trailing support, how you use it. But right now I just want to take a look at instead a trailing resistance. So the trailing support gives the stock a room to brave on the downside. All right, on the downside, but the trailing resistance gives the stock room to breathe on the upside. So it's look at it as like a moving ceiling, and if prices are able to break above the ceiling, right here, then I think that is a good sign that potentially a reversal could be in play. You can expect a little bit of a near-term strength actually coming in as well, and then perhaps we even will have a new 1 GT bullish signal actually coming in. So I think Styler, I think just hold on for Wilmar for now. You want to see prices break above that $3 level, that 20 days moving average, crossing above that 200 days moving average before considering to get in. Let's get a little bit more confirmation on the reversal into our uptrend, and then subsequently may see that prices test that 330 level, which I think would be okay for you to take some profits. But of course, I don't know what price did you buy at lah. So if you are buying higher, if you have previously bought higher than that $3.30 level, then I think once it breaks above the 330 level, you want to start shifting your stop losses up as well. But definitely, I think do not buy on a downtrend lah. All right, so that is for Wilmar. Pass the time now to Z to cover the next stock for you guys.
Right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so the next stock that I will be covering will be ST Engineering, right? So I saw Lam is actually asking about ST Engineering, and for those of you who have been joining us consistently for the past few sessions, right, you know that ST Engineering has been one of our bonus stock that we share all the way at the end. So if I'm covering it now, perhaps you might have some inkling that, this is not going to be a bonus stock for today already. We'll be sharing a new bonus stock for you guys, and just stay all the way until the end to find out what it is, okay? So for ST Engineering, let me just do a quick follow-up on this particular stock, right? Especially for those who are actually holding on to the stock, thinking about whether to sell or to buy more, let's take a look at it, all right? So in terms of ST Engineering, the trend, I don't really have to deep dive into the trend. The trend looks fantastic. The long-term trend is definitely still intact. But in terms of what is actually happening over the past month, right, we are seeing some sort of short-term weakness, because if I were to zoom in, we start to see that, the 20 days moving average, I mean, yes, it has been going up, but it has started to flatten out over the past month, right? Right over here, as you can see, it has started to flatten out. Is it bad or not? It is not bad, right? It's not, I wouldn't say it is bad or you have to immediately sell a stock and things like that, because the thing is that longer term trend, it still looks great, right? It still looks great. But what we can tell also over the past month, from June all the way to where we are at now, $8 is definitely one of the very, very key resistance, right? Because since the 1GT bullish signal that we saw right over here, right, on 23rd of Jan came out all the way to where we are at right now, price have risen about 71%, right? That is a huge increase in price return, right? Price has risen about 71%, and so far, right, from January all the way to where we are, and now we don't really see a sideways consolidation happening. I mean, yes, we do see maybe like a couple of days here and there, a couple of days here and there and things like that, right? But this is the longest period that we actually saw a sideways consolidation happening over about a span of 1 month, right? From June all the way to where we are at. And prices has just been going sideways and keep retesting the $8, unable to break above the $8. And what does that tell us? It tells us that at the $8 level, there is a lot of people, or there is a lot of selling pressure present, right, at the $8 mark. And support level, definitely, I would say it still remain the same, around 750 to about 760, this level right over here, right? So for those of you who are thinking, perhaps you might want to consider to accumulate on the dips, that is one of the levels that you can consider, right, near a support zone, like what we have mentioned multiple times, near a support zone, especially when the longer term uptrend is still intact. And for those of you who are thinking about, selling, near the $8, I think that is also fine. That is also fine, because like we can see over the past month, prices has just been testing the $8 mark. And one thing that I wanted to highlight, right, and to bring your attention to, right, is that, you see over the past week or so, there could be some temporary support near the 780, this level, right? Because prices has just been always touch this 780, go back out. It has just been within this 20 cents range from 780 to about this $8. And if it continues to get tighter and tighter before it actually break out to $8, potentially that's where we might see more upside once price is able to firmly break and hold above the $8 mark, right? And that is where potentially we might see price heading towards the 850 level, right? And the 850 level, how do we get this level? That it's just simply like what we always do a projection upwards towards this 850 level. So I would say for ST Engineering now, definitely longer term, right? Longer term definitely still intact. And if you're thinking about selling, it's okay to sell some partial profits. Take some partial profits, sell half of your position, 1/3 of your position near the $8 range. I think that is okay. That is okay. And if prices were to break and able to firmly hold above the $8 level, this is where we can actually adopt a breakout strategy as well. If prices are able to firmly break and hold above the $8. All right. So those are some of the levels that perhaps you might want to take note of for ST Engineering. That's a very, very quick follow-up for ST Engineering, and I hope that helps for some of you guys who have been following this stock for quite a long time, right? And right now, I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. So ST Engineering, guys, one of our favorite stocks since like the beginning of the year. All right, we got a bullish signal. It started to fly all the way up. Yeah, right now we are seeing a bit of resistance at $8. But I've set my alerts. I'm sure you guys want to set your alerts as well, right? Anything above $8, alerted. We will be alerted, right? Because why? I set my alerts 801, 802, 803, 805, 806, 807, ding, 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 ding. All right. And that's where, guys, I think you want to watch it. If we were to break $8, I think it could be something really, really meaningful. All right. Targets could really be revised. We would even see a new 1GT bullish signal that could lead the next phase up. All right. So watch that stock, right? One of our bonus stock that we've covered in our AMAS session. But, so take note, guys, at the end, right? At the end, like what Z said, there will be 3 new not new, it could be the same stocks as previous, but 3 stocks that we like, Singapore stocks that you want to put in your watch list, right? And that's after going through all the stocks. So we'll just go through very quickly. Let me just go ahead to share what are the stocks that have been covered today, right? So let me just quickly share very quickly. So in case you were asking about the same stocks, it will not be covered again. You can watch the replay on my YouTube channel, all right? So very beginning, we covered the S&P 500 index, the markets, do a quick market outlook, what has happened. And of course, we covered the Straits Times Index, STI, all right? Then number 1, I covered the very first stock, CSE Global. Bervyn covered SIA, then Valuetronics, LHN, DBS, Singtel, 𝐓𝐡𝐞 Financial Holding, Food Empire, CNMC Goldmine, HongKongLand, Wilmar, and Z just covered ST Engineering, that's number 12. So let me go ahead to stock number 13, right? 13, and that would be none other than, let's see, I think that would be what we call SGX. Let's see, Rebecca, can buy SGX now or not, right? We have Chloe as well asking about SGX. SGX, is it time to sell or can still hold if I bought at $14? So you bought at $14, now it's 15.07. So very good, you are making money already, right? So let's find out if you could maybe take some profit a bit or maybe let it go up some more and make more profits, right? So let's take a look at SGX right now. You can see that SGX has been in a pretty good longer term uptrend. It has formed what we call higher lows since August last year. Of course, in April, we sold off due to Trump announcing tariffs, right? Everything sold off, but we saw a pretty good rebound and higher lows that will form as well. And of course, just by looking at the red 100 days moving average line and the blue 200 days moving average line, it's still pointing up, right? The red is above the blue. So for me, very clearly, the longer term uptrend is intact, all right? It's intact. You want to think about buying stocks like this for sure that is aligned with the longer term trend. And next thing is that we also want to think about buying stocks whereby not just the longer term trend is up, but also the short term trend is up. Because if the longer term trend is up and the short term trend is down, and then you could just be going down and down and down for like 1 month, 2 months, and then you buy, you get stuck, right? So no, you want to get in when at least the short term trend has turned up. Does it make sense? All right. So can we see if the shorter term trend has turned up? Well, if you look at it right over here, we look at the green 20 days moving average line. So this green 20 days moving average line, you see it was like up, and then from May to June, it was actually flat, quite boring, it was flat. But what happens over the past 1 week? Well, seems like it's woken up, right? The green line actually started to point up. So the short-term trend has actually turned from sideways back to up, over the past week, as since like maybe on Monday, right? Since on Monday over, or maybe last Thursday, all right? So that's a sign of strength. So you can see that we have also broken what we call a very key resistance level, maybe somewhere around the like $14.65. Look at this, right? We touched, came down, same thing. We hit it there, came down. But finally, on last Thursday, 26 June, we actually broke above the resistance level. So that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing. Broke above the resistance, and of course, you don't break above and come back down, then of course not so good, not counted, right? But you break above it, you stay above it, and that has now become a new support level. So let me just put this 1465, potentially a support level, a resistance turn support level. In fact, right over here, we actually saw quite a bullish candlestick as well, right? 3 days later, we got something like a hammer over here near the new support level, and prices have pushed away from this support level. So I think 1465 would be a support level. In fact, maybe over the past few days, seems like another higher support has came out. The $15. Now we are like above 15 for the past 3-4 days is 15.07. So maybe not even 1465, maybe $15 has came out as a higher support level. So it's a sign of strength. I mean, if we stay above 15 and the support becomes higher and higher, I think that's a sign of strength. I think we could potentially hit even higher. So let me go ahead to turn on what we call the 1GD Pro indicator. As I say, right, any stocks, any asset classes, turn it on, get an opinion in seconds. Are there bearish signal? You want to be careful, if you see a bearish signal, but are there bullish signal coming out? If you see one, then maybe a bit more confident, right? So let's turn it on. There we go, right? We got not 1, not 2, but 3. 1 over here. All right, so this was in April. We got a bearish signal. We got a 1GT bullish signal. I can see that from here, based on this bullish signal all the way to here. Well, a 17% in about 2 months. 17%, all right? Pretty good, all right? 1, 2, consolidate. And yeah, over the past few days, as I say, right? Well, when this when we broke the resistance, I remember I talked about the 1465 as a resistance. Yeah, we broke the resistance and we got another 1 GT bullish. You can look at this, right? It's still playing out. The green line is still pointing up. So I think it looks quite okay, all right? It still looks quite okay, right? So back to your question, is it time to sell or can still hold if I bought at $14? Well, I think it looks pretty bullish, right? You know, anything above 1465 or maybe even above $15, it looks quite bullish. If we can even break the $15.50, I think that would be another upside as well. So I think, you know, it hits higher, it starts to consolidate. Nothing wrong to take some profit near a resistance, as I say, right? Put in your pocket, put the money in your pocket. There's nothing wrong. But more importantly, you want to take steps to protect your profits as it moves high, because, you know, you bought at $14, now it's 15 plus, right? You're confirm making money, right? You don't want it to go from 15 plus all the way back to 14 or 13 or 12, and then you're like, you know, losing money. Does it make sense? Cool. All right. So take steps to protect your profits, and you could put like a stop loss, as I say, you know, below what we call like a trailing support, a very powerful feature that we have on this indicator, right? So you could put this to give a little of allowance, right? You could put the trailing stop loss below like maybe 14.25, right? Below 14.25, just to give it more space, right? And you know, that could come like, you know, as it goes up, you bring your stop loss upwards to protect your profits even more. All right. So that would be SGX. All right. Let me pass on the mic to Bervyn, right, to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. I think a couple of people are asking for the same stock. I think Eugene right here asking in the long term on Seatrium S51 will it hit high? And I think Gloria is also asking Seatrium your comments, please. All right, so let me just quickly cover Seatrium. I think Seatrium right here, I think seen a little bit of boring, I would say boring movements in the last 2 months or so. Prices just moving up and down, being kept under that $2.10 resistance. All right, so we do not see any bullish movements above this 210 just yet. Still pretty much a very, very key resistance. Why? Previously was a resistance, did not manage to break above it, broke above it, became a support, tested a few times right here, and then most recently also tested a few more times. So I think for the year of 2025, I think it has been kept below, pretty much half the time below this level, going as high as $2.60. So I think any meaningful move or any meaningful price actions above $2.10, yes, I will agree with you. Maybe we could see a longer term trend reversal. As of right now, we do not see much, as the 100 days moving average and 20 days moving average are pretty much converging, but they are pointing downwards. Only the 200 days moving average is still pointing up. All right, but we at least have that 1 GT bullish signal that is still playing out. I think we may want to just set up some alerts to just let yourself know if there's any new 1 GT bullish signal that could come out if prices break above that 210. Because with that 210 is broken, you may see like upside towards like maybe 230, 231, 232 even. I think that is potentially where, yes, I think that longer term trend could be back in play, a stronger longer term uptrend. But I think as of right now, not much movement seen in Seatrium. Okay, for Gloria and Eugene, I think we want to just monitor 210. All right, the support currently right now being about that 190 level, where previously prices have tested these levels a couple of times as well. So I think if we were to just turn on, I'm not too sure if you're currently holding on to some Seatrium. I think Eugene, you're holding on to some Seatrium, right? Because you say you are in the long term. I think if you're currently holding on to Seatrium, that trailing support is about that 198, like that, close to that $2 psychological level. Want to make sure that prices go above that trailing support. Therefore, you can maybe see a little bit more up move, because I think volatility for Seatrium has dropped quite a little bit in the most recent days. That's why you see that gap it's actually tightening up a little bit. We want to actually wait and see above 210. I would say yes, maybe up move, a next phase or next up move could be in play for Seatrium, but pretty much still consolidating at this point. So that's a very quick one, Gloria and Eugene, for Seatrium. I'll pass the time now to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think the next stock that I will be covering will be by Victor. Right, Victor is actually asking about 𝐕𝐴. Seems like uptrend is forming. Is it good to get in now? Okay, so let's take a look at 𝐕𝐴. All right. So for 𝐕𝐴, price action really started and got more exciting, somewhere in September of 2024, right? Previously, it was very boring, like it just going sideways, nothing much really going on. And this was where the first 1GT bullish signal came out as well, somewhere on the 5th of September, right? 5th of September 2024, and it went all the way up, right? And then when the first 1GT bearish signal came out, it was about 87, almost close to 80%. I would say 80% increased in price, right? Since the 1GT bullish signal came out to the 1GT bearish signal came out. And then subsequently, from October all the way to, very recently, that was when we saw prices going up and down within a range, right? Within a range. And what would that range be? Definitely, I would say one of the support level, right? In a range, it consists of a support and a resistance, right? So the support level, I would say, will be somewhere around this 0.345, around this level to 0.350, right? This would be one of the support level, because this was where we saw multiple times buyers came in to support the prices and holding above this level, right? And in terms of resistance wise, I would say will definitely be around this, 0.470, right, to 0.475, this level right over here, because this was where we saw a very long upper shadow right over here near this resistance. Once again, tested somewhere in February, and again in May, and again in June, right? Before very recently, we saw some price action whereby it actually broke and hold above this level, right? This 47 cents, this level right over here. And let me just change this to green. And we do get a 1GT bullish signal just very recently, right, on Tuesday, right, on 1st of July on Tuesday. And right now, price is actually still holding above this level. For Victor, I would say at this point in time, price is actually holding above the 47 cents, right, which is one of the resistance level, right? And I would say, yes, right now, it seems like it is in a potential buy zone, right? But as you know, like what we have mentioned, a lot of times, this would be considered a breakout strategy, right? And as for any breakout strategy, it definitely consists more risk compared to if we were to wait for the price to actually retrace, right? So if you were to think about getting in near the buy zone right over here when it actually breaks out, right, provided that price, can continue to hold above this 47 cents, potential upside targets that we are looking at is towards the 60 cents level. And how do we get that is from a projection right over here, the range, right, that he has been trading, since October all the way to, July, right? This couple of months, we project it up. The potential upside targets, if price is actually able to hold above the 47 cents, would be towards 60 cents, where we potentially might see some selling pressure actually return, right? But that being said, right, do think about your downside as well. What's your trading plan, right? Because buying and entering is just one thing, right? Exiting, okay, we do have a target, right, which is the 60 cents. But what about your stop loss? Because you do also need to think about your stop loss, right? Whereby if prices, the next couple of days can hold, but suddenly it break back down, and then what happens, right? What should you do, right? That's where your trading plan will come into place, and that's where you can actually attend one of Joey's upcoming webinar, right? I believe it's on the 22nd of July, and that's where we'll actually dive deeper into all these things about the 1GD strategy and how does the trading plan come into play with this 1GD strategy as well. All right, so in terms of, okay, so let me just continue in terms of the trailing support and resistance function, like just now what we have turned on, this is where you can actually use this as a guide for your stop loss as well, right? For your stop loss, because if prices were to break below the trailing support, not so good, right? You already give the room, give the stock some room to breathe. But if it still break below that level, that's where we know that, okay, more selling pressure has returned to this stock, and this is where we want to be a bit more careful. Okay, so at this point in time, the trailing support is somewhere around 43 cents. All right, so perhaps some of these levels that you can take note for Victor, the resistance at about the next target around the 60 cents. Right now, price is near the buy zone, and the trailing support is at about 43 cents. So these are some of the levels that you can maybe set some price alert to alert you when it reaches there. All right, so that would be for we, her. We'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next topic.
All right, thank you so much, Z. So yeah, as Z has mentioned, guys, right, today we are kind of like, just going through the stocks that you guys want a quick opinion on. So if you want to find out more about the one good trend strategy that I've been using for more than a decade now, right? Of course, we have this indicator to help us when to get in, when to get out. Well, we can attend one of those free webinars. The link is already in the chat. Click on it, register for it. I think it's still, we don't do this every other week, right? So I think the next one will probably be in July, 22nd July, about 2 or 3 weeks time, right? So register for it. show up, attend it, and that's where we share more with you on kind of like a checklist that we have, kind of like a step-by-step sequence that we go through, a process that we go through as well. So link in the chat, check it out. Right, today we're just diving into the stock very quickly. Right, so let me go ahead to pull out my screen, and I'm going to cover this stock that has been pretty interesting. It has been on my watch list for a while. And Chester, I see that you have asked on this stock called Frencken, right? Frencken, can add more as I am holding it. All right, thanks. Very good, right, Chester? So let's take a look at this stock called Frencken right now. Is it more of a reversal play? All right, could it hit even higher? All right, so let's see. You can see that for Frencken, right, we are at about $1.26. So for Frencken, right, one of those tech stocks like UMS, Valuetronics, well, we started to see some strength coming back over the past 1 to 2 months as the tech sector in the US started to rebound. So I think there's some kind of catching up play ongoing. You're starting to see strength in the Singapore tech sector as well because of that, right? And the thing is this, right? For Frencken, you can see that since last year, it was not really in our radar. Why? Because you can see we had a couple of bearish, look at this, right? Bearish signals coming out, 1, 2, 3, all right, got a bullish one, but it went down even more, bearish one. He has been in a pretty much downtrend in the longer term since like August, July, June last year for more than a year, right? Going down and down. But I would say we have found a little bit of a bottom somewhere around like April and May. And we got two new 1GT bullish signals coming out. And of course, look at the green line. The green line that was like going down, flat, down, started to finally turn back up, all right? From like about $1, now we're like about $1.26, right? So it's turning back up. You can see obviously is the green line kind of like pointing up right now still. It's up, don't you bluff yourself. Up means up, down means down, right? You can see the green line was like flat a little bit and started to point up again, right? So I'm pretty bullish on Frencken right now. In fact, I got my team to send out a note as well on Frencken. I'm not too sure exactly when, last week or something, but we broke this resistance level at about $1.20. Look at this, right? $1.20 since November. We were like below it, or it was a bit of a resistance level. And finally, right, we went above the 120. Of course, we're still above it. So that's a good thing. And of course, the green line started to point up. And I think the upside reversal is ongoing. The only thing is that we want to get a bit more confirmation in terms of the longer term trend. So look at the red and the blue line, right? We want the red line to be above the blue line, right? So I think very simple. If we can stay above 120 or maybe we can break 130, I can tell you guys this will happen, right? Look at the blue line. The blue line will gradually start to point up, right? And even, let me just put in red color to kind of like show you how it works. And this red line, the 100 days moving average, it will start to slope up even more, right? Up. And it will cross above the blue line. This is what we call a bullish crossover. So when we see this, right, there's another confirmation that not just the short-term trend is up. It's been up since like last month, right? But now the long-term trend is also up, all right? And that is where I think we could really start to see the reversal, right, gradually take shape all the way back to 150, 160, 170 to kind of retest its previous high that we have seen in early 2024. Does it make sense? Because these bullish signals are still in play. Let me just go back to maybe somewhere around like 2023, right? Look at this, 2023. So I think we are somewhere over here. Look at this, right? Previously, same thing. It was like bearish signals coming down, right? And we got two bullish signals. It's something like this. We got two bullish signals like now. And then you look, previously also got two, right? And then we got another one, right? But previously, you can see that the red and the blue line, the red was still below the blue, right? Until finally we saw this thing happen. The red went above the blue. Pretty much what we're looking for. Pretty much what we're looking for over here. All right, you can take this and then you put over here. Does it make sense so far? All right. So it seems like it is about to happen, right? It's about to happen. Maybe, right? We are right over, and if you put it back to the past 2 years ago, right? Maybe we are over here, all right? Or maybe over here. Does it make sense so far? All right. But once this thing happens, it's another confirmation. We get another bullish signal. And guess what? That's where it started to push up even more, right? Even more, right? And that's exactly what's happening right now. I think that we are in a process of a reversal. If we can stay above the 120 or maybe even the 130 temporary resistance level would give way as well. You can see I've set a couple of alerts, 131, 132, even 141, 142. If all these levels break, I'll be alerted. I think that's where we get more confirmation that buyers are tending to push even higher. We could see targets being revised, right? All the way to maybe I would say 140 would be another key resistance. Look at this, right? Support broke down, attempted again, resistance came back down. So that could be the next upside targets, right? Anything above this 120. All right, and so I'll look for this longer term trend to hopefully turn up, and I think that will happen if we stay above the 120 higher support level. All right, so that would be for Frencken. Okay, Bervyn, back to you.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so next stock I want to cover is VJ. VJ is asking, hi VJ, hopefully still with us here. Keppel, please bought at 550. Took some profits at close to $7 resistance. Good. And then whether to continue to add or continue to sell. Great questions right there. Okay, so I think right here we have Keppel on the screen right now. Yes, I think since April we actually see price actually recover, not just recover, it actually push higher. So that is actually a very, very good sign that is it time for Keppel to actually see more upside at this point. So VJ, let me just mark it out. You actually sold some shares right here at 695. You bought some at about 550. Oh, great. So I'm not too sure if you bought last year or earlier this year. Actually, I'm not too sure, but yeah, okay. So from 550 all the way to close to that $7 psychological level, about 25% upside you have already locked in, and right now you are continuing to ride that uptrend. You're thinking, should I be actually buying more? Why? I think VJ is having a very good thought right here, because prices have actually just broken above that 760 resistance, now turn support level, especially with that quite a bullish candlesticks actually appearing one day before prices actually broke above that 760 level. And then right now we have that 20 days moving average pointing up, 100 to 100 days moving average pointing up, that 1GT bullish signal from April also still playing out. So definitely is completely okay or completely right to think that, is it at the start of a new up phase, should I be buying more? I think VJ, I think right now if you are considering to buy a little bit more, just have to take note. Okay, just have to take note that the immediate resistance will be around that $8 psychological level. That's $8 psychological level is one level that you actually want to set some alerts on as well. So if prices approach close to that $8 level, you may want to just add an alert just to let yourself know that prices are approaching near resistance. And then if we see any bearish candlesticks, if we see any sellers coming in, then maybe it's okay for you to take some more profits to lock up even more profits as well. So I think I've done this many times today, but if we turn on that trailing support right now, you can see that it is right around that 730 level. So you can set up some alerts below as prices approach that 730 level. If you retrace maybe about 735, 736, 737, just to get yourself alerted towards that trailing support might be broken, and then you want to come in to set up some stop losses as well, because you still have some profits about 550 all the way to about 730. There's still a pretty decent chunk of profits that you want to actually protect as well. So if you are buying close to that 760 level, VJ, if you're intending to or you decide to proceed to actually buy more, also use that same strategy where you can actually be a little bit more conservative. If prices actually come down and touch that trading support and breaks it, you want to get out to protect those profits as well. All right, so I think Keppel so far so good, looking good. That reversal from 7 April still playing out. Want to continue monitoring, and of course if we see any more 1GT bullish signals come in, I think yes, the $8 could be tested, and then maybe we can even go higher from there. All right, okay, so now passing the time to Z to cover the next stock.
Thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think maybe this will be likely the last stock that I'll be covering before I pass back over to Joey to cover the bonus stock, right? So very quickly, I think right now I will cover the last stock by Energized Mood. Nice to see you here again. You said that you're holding UMS, and can you still potentially add some position? So let's take a look at this, all right? So for UMS right now, right, we can see that this could be a potential, uptrend reversal, right? Especially so when, back here in April and May, this is where we actually start to see some signs, of the moving averages, right, turning back up. The green line actually crossed above both the longer term and the longer term. The red is above the blue as well, right? And plus, we do actually see 1 and 2 1GT bullish signal coming out, right? And at this point in time, we do not see any exits yet, right? And at this right now, I think price have gone up by about close to 38, close to 40% already, right? And if we take a look at, if you are thinking about, even adding in positions, right? One thing that I always say, like a broken record, find the support, right? Find the support level, because that is where we know buyers are coming in to support the prices. That is where we can potentially think about adding in some position. So in terms of support for UMS, right, definitely one of the support that we can see over here is at the $1.20 mark. Why would I say this? Because previously, even back in the Q1 of 2024, this was where prices was actually supported, right? This was a support level. It broke down, and then subsequently from May all the way to June, for about 1 year, this level, this 120, was actually a resistance. And right now, it broke above it and hold above it, it became a support again. So this level was actually tested multiple times, right? It was tested multiple times and was being held below this level for a very long time as well. So I would say 120 will be one of the support level that perhaps you might want to take note of, right? Especially if prices can actually retrace back, pull back a bit to the 120 level. This would be one of the levels that you can potentially position yourself for entry to perhaps also accumulate more, right? To accumulate more. And in terms of resistance wise, if you're holding on to UMS, it is nothing wrong for you to actually take some profits, especially when it is near the resistance, when it is near this 140, right? So I would say 140 is one of the immediate resistance that we are actually looking at. Previously, back over here, this was where we actually saw selling pressure return, right? And this was where we saw a 1GT bearish signal coming out. And very recently, we saw that, price is actually near this level once again, right? And that's where profit taking actually returned. So in terms of adding position, that is one way. The other way that you can actually make use of this 1GT Pro indicator is to use the trailing support and resistance function, right? So like I've mentioned, just now the support level, right, is around 120. As you can see, the trailing support, it follows as the price moves out. And you see the trailing support has also went up, right? It follows the prices. So I would say if you want to take reference from the trailing support, it is also fine, right? Somewhere slightly above the trailing support, that will also be considered a zone for you to potentially enter. So what would be good, right? Energize Mood, I think what would be good is for you to actually set price alert, right? Like what Joey said, he set price alert at like multiple levels, right? 1.24, 1.25, 1.26, then he ting, right? And then that's where you can actually look at the stock again to potentially position yourself for entry. Okay, so that would be a very quick one for UMS. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to perhaps start to share about our bonus stock for today.
Okay, maybe we have a bit more time. All right, so maybe we can go one final round. Okay, guys.
Okay,
yeah.
can.
Let's just do one final round. Let's do one final round. So very quickly, guys, we'll just have 3 more stocks. We have covered like a total of like 18 stocks already. So 3 more stocks, me, Bervyn, and Z, and then we'll go on into the top stocks that you guys want to put in your watch list, right? So in case we have not covered your stocks, guys, my apologies, right? I've looked through the chat. There's more than 60, 70 over stocks, right? We can only cover like about 18 over, all right? So my apologies for that. But perhaps maybe if we never cover your stock, it could perhaps be one of the stocks that we would want to cover at the end because it's a bonus good stock, right? So stay all the way to the end to find out if your stock is actually the bonus one, okay? So let me move on very quickly. Let me go ahead to share my screen and share this stock. I think one of you is asking about it. Baksun, right? Asking about this stock. Has Q&M turned downtrend? So Baksun, I hope you're still over here, all right? Q&M turned downtrend. Is it okay to hold? Let's find out. So you can see this is Q&M very quickly. Well, it has been in a, I would say, consolidation since last year all the way until we broke this like 30 cents. I think 30 cents was a pretty key resistance. We're below, finally pump, right? And then we got 2 bullish signals. I think I sent out a note as well a couple of months back, all right? When we got this bullish signal, started to push from 30 over cents all the way to like 45 cents, and it seems like some selling is actually coming back. All right, so I think back to your question, right? Is it okay to hold? Well, I would say that you have got in over here. Let's see, right? Let's say you got in over here. Let's say at 28, 20 or 30 over cents. Now it's 40 cents. It's confirm making money, right? So the question is that hold doesn't mean you hold all the way down. I'm not too sure exactly what price you bought, but doesn't mean you want to hold all the way down and then you're like back to square one or even losing money. Does it make sense? So what we could do is that I would say for Q&M Dental, we are seeing some heavy resistance at about 45 cents quite clearly. Like over the past 1 week, look at this, right? Touch a couple of candles that came out with upper shadows and we got a bearish candle. In fact, yesterday, quite a bearish candle. We pushed away from the 45 cents, right? So some support potentially maybe around the 40 cents. 40 cents was a bit of a psychological resistance level. You can see we broke above it, went up to 45, and then now we are coming back down again, right? Now is what price? 405. Well, lucky, just above the 40 cents, right? We are still above the 40 cents. So I think if we can still stay above the 40 cents, in fact, let me go ahead to turn on the trailing support, because this trailing support, I see it, right? We give the stock space to breathe. We account for volatility, right? So you can move up and down, you're very volatile. Fine. If you're above it, you're okay. But if we give you the space, but yet you still take up the space and you go below it, something is wrong. That means we are seeing some heavy selling. That's where you might want to reduce some exposure, get out, cut loss, take some profit, whatever. Don't hold all the way down. So let's see where is the trailing support. Okay. Over here, same. In fact, it's about the same as the 40 cents. Let me just remove this. So I think it's around that 40 cents. You can see that we are right over here. In fact, we went down, but buyers came back and pushed it back up above the 40 cents. So I think this 40 cents is very crucial. But so just watch it, have an alert. I think we go to like below 40 cents. So we go to like 39 or 385, 38, 37, that kind of thing, right? Below 40 cents, then not so good. I think that's where we would have a bearish signal coming out. That's where we could potentially start to see a bit of a reversal. And that's where you might not just want to hold all the way down. You want to take some profit, get out, especially if you have got in 28, 30 cents, you are still making money. All right. So that's key. All right. You want to take steps to protect your profits, especially if a bearish signal comes out, especially if we break this trailing support, which is just at around that 40 cents level. All right. Boxer, I hope that helps. Let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next Singapore stock.
Thanks, Joey. Okay, so I think we covered quite a little bit of a normal stock today. Hopefully Andy is still here because I want to look at a little bit of a REIT. So CapitaLand, Ascendas. Okay, so let me just throw it out onto the screen right now. All right, A17U is the stock code. I think most of the REITs have started to pick up, or some of the REITs specifically have started to pick up some up moves again. So there's a sign that interest rate could be cut soon, but I think unlikely in July, maybe later on in Q4, we may see interest rates start to drop further. So I think as of right now, we see that for CapitaLand, Ascendas, we had a 1GT bullish signal came in on the 16th of June. All right, 16th of June actually came in and then prices actually pushed higher. I would place like a temporary there's a temporary support right around that 267, maybe about 267 to about 270 level. I think as of right now, which is where prices is, or where the prices are very close at this point. Okay, so I think right now we are in a little bit of an up move. I think with that $2.80 resistance still holding, and it is a previous resistance right here. We may see a very similar move where prices actually approach at 280, but maybe a little bit more consolidation happening under that 280 level for REITs. I do not generally expect them to move up very, very, very quickly, normally under normal situations. But in this case, I think if you are looking to get in for CapitaLand, Ascendas REIT, I think one level to actually take note would be very close to that 267, maybe a 270 level. You could actually, time an entry, or potentially there could be a window for your entry if prices retrace towards that level. But don't expect it to be, rebounding very swiftly, breaking above 280, going to 290. I think that kind of movements for REITs are very rare. Yeah, so I think we want to just be manage expectations a little bit. If you're going in for REIT, at least I think for CapitaLand, Ascendas REITs, you can actually just check out their dividend yield is about 5.57 at the current price. So it is a very, very decent REIT to actually pick up if you're expecting interest rate to come down. You want to redeploy some funds. I think Ascendas REIT is one of those to actually look out for as well. I think a break above that 280 could see another 1GT bullish signal just appearing right here, sending prices towards that 290 level. But of course, let's worry a little bit of downside if the interest rate doesn't cut. You may see that 270 level being tested. With that broken, it could head back to that 260 level. And if that happens, you may see a 1GT bearish signal. Which is be a little bit more cautious, but I think so far the initial pickup for the REITs are not too bad. You can see that 20 days moving average is definitely pointing up. that 100 days moving average pointing up, just leaving that 200 days moving average, not just not showing any movement, still a little bit flat at this point. So once if that prices break above that 280, definitely you will see that 200 days moving average also start to point up. Then yes, I would say the prices or the stock will then be in a longer term uptrend already. All right, okay, so Andy, I hope that helps you a little bit for the A17U Ascendas REITs. Passing the time now to Z to cover the last stock before we start our bonus stock.
Right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so the last stock that I'll be covering will be this stock by 𝐸𝐻, right? 𝐸𝐻 is asking about Samudra Shipping. Can you still hold Samudra Shipping? So I believe you have bought the stock, but I'm not too sure what price have you bought into. And I hope you are actually still here, right? Okay, so let's talk about Samudra Shipping, right? So Samudra Shipping recently we saw, there is actually a 1 GT bullish signal just appearing 2 days ago, right, on 2nd of July. The first one even appeared earlier on 23rd of April, right? 23rd of April. And right now, there is still no bearish signal yet. But what we do know, right, is that, the trend, right, in terms of the short term and the long term are showing signs of it turning back up, right? And that's a good thing. That's a good thing for the stock in terms of the trend, right? The short term trend, 20 days moving average, is definitely pointing up. Green line, red line, and blue line has also started to show signs of it sloping upwards. So in terms of the support level, right, I would say right now the support level, as you can see right over here at this 85 cents, right, as long as price is actually able to firmly hold above these 85 cents, potential upside targets that we are actually looking at is towards this 97 cents, because this was where we started to see, selling pressure returning back in June and July, right, 2024. As you can see right over here, number one, the first sign is that, there's this very long upper shadow. Second thing is it did really went to this 97 cents, touch it, and then that's where selling pressure returned. We do get a 1 GT bearish signal and prices came all the way back down, right? But over the past year, it just has been kind of moving up and down, and testing this 85 cents, right? And finally, it has broken above the 85 cents, which is a good thing. And I'm hoping to see, for Samudra Shipping, right, for price to actually stay above this 85 cents, for it to have potential leg an upside move to the 97 cents, right? And in terms of your question, whether can you hold Samudra Shipping, right? If you are already sitting on profits, I think one thing or the good thing that you can consider to do is to really use the trading support function effectively, right? Because if prices were to continue to actually head up, right, we can actually see this trading support continue to actually move higher like this, right? And this is where you can actually use the stop loss order or your stop limit order, right, to actually then continue to ride the uptrend and shift your stop limit order up to actually protect more profits for Samudra Shipping. All right, so this is one way that you can actually maximize or use the 1GT Pro indicator effectively, especially with the trailing support function. Okay, because there is no rush for you to actually sell Samudra Shipping right at this point in time. But the thing is that you can see from the past. Let me just turn this off. Right, as you can see from the past, for this particular stock, it can move up pretty fast, and it can also come down pretty fast. So I think what would be good is to actually take step, right, to actually protect your profits. Like in case prices were to actually reverse back down due to news or anything related to tariffs, anything Trump say, right? Sometimes it could just happen, right? But take step to actually protect your profits actively by using the trading stop limit order with reference to the trailing support. All right. So that would be for Samudra Shipping. I will pass the time back over to Joey to share our bonus stock for today.
All right, finally, guys, right, we have pretty much come almost right to the end of the AMAS Singapore stock market session. So very quickly, guys, I'm going to share with you guys, all right, one top Singapore stock that has been on my watch list for a while. Of course, I'll pass on the mic to Bervyn, and then Z will share their top Singapore stock as well. But before I do that, maybe very quickly, let me just go to say again, all the stocks, right, that we have covered today. So in case you miss any of the stocks, right, you can check out, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, all right, and that's where you can watch the replay, you can zoom into the stocks, right? So we covered the markets, S&P 500 index, the STI, we covered CSE Global, SIA, Valuetronics, LHN, DBS, Singtel. 𝐓𝐡𝐞 Financial Holding, Food Empire, CNMC Goldmine, HongKongLand, Wilmar, ST Engineering, SGX, Seatrium, 𝐕𝐻, Frencken, Keppel, UMS, Q&M Dental, and Capland, Ascendas REIT, and finally Z covered Samudra Shipping. All right, so these are the total of 21 stocks that we've covered today, guys. Let me go ahead to talk about this stock right here that I actually covered in my previous AMAS session. I thought since it looked good, right, there's no bearish signal. I think one of you is asking about it as well. We have, let's see, right, who is asking about it? We have Lam. Centurion, any new bullish one at GT, sell or hold, please comment. So that is actually the bonus stock. So that's why I did not choose your comment just now. I'll talk about it because this was actually the bonus stock that I prepared for today. All right, so let's take a look at Centurion right now. The code is OU8. So you can see, right, for Centurion, we've covered it. In fact, this is one of my favorite stocks since last year. We have a couple of bullish signals coming out. Look at this, right over here. That was in August 2024, right, just last year. Let me just put this in black color. We got a bullish 1GT signal, somewhere around that 64 cents, all the way up, right, to around that 90 over cents, 45% gain in about 3 to 4 months. So whenever we get a bullish signal, look at this, right? Whenever we get a bullish signal, all right, the stock just moves up faster, all right? Same thing, another bullish signal over here. That was in April 2024. We got a bullish signal, it moves up faster, all right? And then, when you get a bearish signal, it just maybe goes sideways or down a little bit. So let's see what has happened over the past few months. Well, we got another, so that was in April. Look at this, right? So we got a 1GT bearish signal that was in 7th of April, right? I mean, as I say, 7th April, Trump introduced the tariffs. Almost every stock have a bearish signal triggered because we broke certain support levels, right? And in that case, we went down. It didn't really continue to sell down and down. It just consolidated a little bit, support found, and rebounded. But the key is that, that confirmation came in again, but we got a new 1GT bullish signal. And the green line, that was like kind of like flattening out a bit, actually started to turn up as well, like from flat to up, right? Is it still up? Yes, it is still up, right? So I think right now, Centurion still looks good, right? You can see the support has been found, has been getting higher and higher. So along the way, we would have found support at about 130. Look, that was where we were consolidating above it. It goes even higher. Support became somewhere around that 150. We're consolidating a bit above it, right? I think in the previous AMAS session about 2 weeks back, I think it was somewhere around maybe over here, right? Maybe around the 150, right? But then 160 became another higher support as we broke it. So you can see support has been going higher and higher, all right? Higher and higher. In fact, over the past few days, well, it seems like we have broken the $1.70. So 170 was actually a little bit of a resistance last week. Look at this, right? Came down, touched, came down for 5 to 6 days. We were below 170, but finally on Thursday, yesterday, we went above the 170. So that's a sign of strength, right? Because all this while for the past, last week we were below it, but on Thursday we finally went above 170. Now it's 173, which is still above 170. So that could be another higher support that is being found, right? So I think we stay above 170, right, guys? I think, we might just start to consolidate again to 180, and then it seems like it likes to do like a 10 cent, 20 cents consolidation each time, consolidate and pump, maybe to 180, consolidate, 190, consolidate to $2. I think targets could be revised gradually, right? It's kind of like very gradual, very consistent, very steady kind of uptrend. So longer term trend is up. Red and blue obviously is up since like last year. Green 20 days moving average line obviously still pointing up. And if I can quickly turn on maybe the trailing support to take a look very, very quickly, 1, 2, 3, pump. Since the bullish signal came out on 6th of May, all right, about 2 months back, look at this, right? The trailing support has been popping up. It follow. And obviously we're still above the trailing support. That give it space, right? You follow it, don't follow too closely. Give it space. So obviously we are still above it. As it goes higher, I can tell you guys, this trailing support will follow. I don't know until when, but you might just follow. And we can take steps to protect our profits. In any case, it goes below it, we get out, we still make money. All right. So I think Centurion looks pretty good. It has pretty much have 4 to 5 confirmations in terms of our 7-point checklist for my one good trend strategy. All right, so this is a stock, the bonus stock I shared with you guys. We have covered it previously. It still looks good, so I thought why not just cover it again. All right, so let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover his bonus stock for today. Bervyn, all yours.
Thanks, Joey. Okay, so Joey covered Centurion. So I think my bonus stock, I think a couple of you guys were asking for it as well. It is actually Sembcorp Industry. The stock code is U96. I think just zoom out for a little bit. Just zoom out for a little bit. I think we can see that for Sembcorp Industry, the last time when I covered it, I think it was sometime in February, prices were pretty much just consolidating under that 560 level, and then it broke above. All right, hit as high as 650, coming down and then finally breaking above that 650 level, and now we are in a new up phase. So we are in a new up phase. Sorry, just let me change the stock. Right, so right now we are in a new up phase for Sembcorp Industry. So I think right now we can see that a little bit of a consolidation could happen. Why? It is because prices had just broke above that $7 psychological level. Broke above $7 psychological level. So we just turn this trailing support offers. With that $7 now being turned into a support level, I think the upside right now can be drawn very similar to a little bit like Keppel. Then we're moving in a very similar fashion right now. The upside can be drawn to about that 750 level first, or at least that is where that we would draw it as well. And with not just one, there are actually 3 1GT bullish signals that have actually came in. So, and furthermore, prices are currently in what we call like a buy zone, holding above your $7, between 7 to about 710, like that. I think I would place like something like a buy zone, where actually you could see a little bit of a bias actually coming back in to accumulate on those dips. So I think if that 750 level gives way, I think for sure we can see more upside towards that $8 level. So I think a couple of you guys were already holding on to a little bit of Sembcorp Industry. I think what you can do now, all right, is to watch this trailing support. All right, watch this trailing support. Maybe you can set some alerts, rather than just $7. Set some alerts, maybe about 675, 678. Just to let you know if prices are heading towards that trailing support. In a way, you could consider another accumulation or another window to entry right around that 680 level, or potentially if you are coming in to actually adjust your stop limit orders, this is where you would want to do that as well. And if prices hit higher, right, you hit higher towards the 750 level, you definitely want to protect those profits. But as of right now, I think Sembcorp Industry is still showing that a little bit of a textbook uptrend. Consolidate, move up, like a little bit like steps that are consolidate, move up. So I think I would say we will not see any like a sudden break above $8. Unlikely, hard to say, but I think it was unlikely. Maybe likely to see a little bit of a consolidation between the current range of 7 to 750 first. All right, okay, so that is for Sembcorp Industry, one of our bonus stock for today. I'll pass the time now to Z to cover the last bonus stock for today.
Thank you, Bervyn. Okay, let me just share my screen very quickly over here. Okay, so the last bonus stock for today that I would like to share with you guys, that would be for Sheng, right? Because I also saw some of you guys was asking about Sheng, like Selston, right? Thinking about buying Sheng and Lam as well. I think you got 2 out of 3 of the bonus stock today, especially with Joey one as well for Centurion. So you're asking about Sheng, whether is there still room for upside, right? Upside. So the thing is that for Sheng, if we are taking a look at this chart right at this point in time, we do see positive movement, right, over the past week or so. And I believe one of the reason, right, if I would just turn on this quickly, right over here, and you can see, like, sometimes if you want quick news about a certain stock, you can actually just take a very quick look at, some of the latest updates about Sheng as well. And then just some of it over here, as you can see, if I just click in quickly, right? This company, they actually opened 2 new outlets as of Q1 and likely to open 6 more by Q3 with an additional 4 pending tender results. So those are very positive news for this company as well. And plus the fact that we are actually seeing not just one, but how many? 1, 2, 3, 4 1GT bullish signal for this particular stock with no exits yet, right? And the trend definitely based on the moving average, it also looks intact, right? Uptrend looks intact, short term pointing up, longer term rate and blue line are also pointing up. So definitely this is one of the reasons why this stock is actually still is in our watch list, and we are watching this stock very closely. But the question now is, price has actually gone up and it's now is at about $1.97. So what is the potential zones that we want to look at to actually potentially enter, right, to have some positions for this particular stock? So one of the zones that we are actually looking at will be around this level right over here, close to the 190, right? Close to the 190. Because the thing, like what I mentioned, we don't want to chase a stock, right? We never want to chase a stock when it's buying, when it's trading at an all-time high, because that's when your emotions come into play. You might get very emotional for that particular trade, and that's what we want to avoid, right? So we want to buy near a support, and one of the ways is, to practice a bit more patience, right? And to set some alerts near the support level right over here at 190. And this is one of the support level because from May all the way to July, this was actually a resistance, right? It was actually a resistance. As you can see, price actually tested this level, this 190 level, right? And it's unable to break above it. And only very recently on the 2nd of July, 2 days ago, it finally broke above it, and we do get a 1 GT bullish signal. So I would say at this point in time, perhaps what we can do is to set some price alert, maybe about 192, 193. Let me just do a very quick one over here. Right click, add alert, 192, right? Every time create. So that is, I've just created a very quick price alert, right, on 𝐸𝐸, whereby if prices were to retrace back to the 192, that's potentially where I can look into this stock again to potentially position myself for entry, right? Because right now we know that $2 is one of the psychological resistance level, and today we actually also started to see some profit taking happening, right? Seller starts to sell. We saw price came back down a little, and I would not be surprised at $2 there will be some sort of resistance over there lah. And how do we know $2 is one of the resistance level? If based on a projection of the range that it has been trading in since May to July, if I were to project it out, it is also very close to the $2 level. And if prices is actually able to break and hold above the $2, potentially upside, what we are looking at is towards the $2.10. But of course, what I would hope for to see, is not for price to immediately shoot up all the way to $2.10. Now, best is if you are able to consolidate sideways before it actually push up, something like what is actually happening right now, right? So that is how we can actually ensure that the uptrend for this 𝐸𝐸, right, were to stay more sustainable as well. Okay, so that would be for 𝐸𝐸. A very quick one, some of the levels that perhaps you might want to take note of is definitely still in our watch list, and we are keeping a very close eye on this particular stock as well. Okay, so passing the time back over to Joey.
All right, thank you so much, guys. So I think we have pretty much come to the end of today's AMAS Singapore edition session. All right, and the bonus stocks that were covered were by me, Centurion. All right, Bervyn covered on Sembcorp Industry, and Z just covered on 𝐸𝐸. Right? As I say, right, in fact, guys, these were some of the stocks that, not just these bonus stocks, but some of the stocks that you guys asked as well. We actually shared with our clients in Phillip Securities for free by WhatsApp daily. So team, can I place the link in the chat again? So in case, as I say, if you're not yet, so we have a lot of clients over here, right, following us, joining our sessions, getting our ideas by WhatsApp, trainings and all that. So if you're not yet one, you don't get any ideas, you have a trading account, and you just log in and play some trades and you don't get any stocks to focus on, make sure you check it out. All right, click on the link in the chat. All right, find out how you can become a client of mine in Phillip Securities for free, whereby we do share some of those ideas by WhatsApp daily. All right, so yep, how many of you found it pretty valuable? This type of video, you guys, for value. If you've got some value today, especially if we have covered your stock, or maybe you found some value in the bonus stocks that were shared, type B for value. Let me know, guys. How many of you got value today? Let's see who got value today. Right, we have VJ, right? Thank you very much, appreciated. Let's see over here as well. Thank you, Savaraju. All right, thank you as well. Leong, value as well. Chua, all right, value. So I hope you guys have got a quick opinion on the stocks that you asked as well. All right, thank you so much, Leong. William as well. All right, Chi Sing, good to see you here every Friday. All right, hi, Pavlesh as well. Value as well. John, value. All right, thank you so much, Geraldine, Bakguan, Dave, Mahison. All right, so thank you so much, guys. We look forward to see you in our next Ask Me Any Stock session. That'll be like next Friday, and then we'll be back to the US market again. So today's Friday, Singapore. So next Friday will be US, right? So team, just place the link in the chat whereby join us on our next Friday US session. The link's in the chat. Click on it, set a notification so that when we go live, you will be alerted as well. You will be alerted as well. And finally, guys, as I say, right, I mean, today when we talk about the entire, your stocks, even the bonus stocks, we actually utilize what we call my one good trend strategy. All right, one good trend strategy to analyze. Of course, we have the indicator, the 1GT Pro indicator, to do the analysis for you. All right, whether is it to buy or to sell, to hold and stuff, right? So if you want to find out a bit more about the entire strategy, or perhaps how you could have an indicator like this, all right, attend one of those free webinars, right? The next webinar will be on like 22nd July, about two or three more weeks back, all right? 22nd July, check it out, the link in the chat. Register for it, attend it, and that's where we share with you guys the entire framework, the backbone of it. I think that's where you will be much clearer. All right, so I believe we have come to the end of today's session. Bervyn, is there anything to say for today?
Have a great weekend, everyone. I mean, I hope that we managed to give you guys a little bit more value. I think in the coming week, I think a little bit more volatility as well, so can be expected. So just be a little bit more cautious. I mean, just set up your alerts. I think Joey and Z have done very, very well to, of course, teach you guys on how to set up alerts as well. All right, so have a great weekend, everyone. I mean, enjoy the time with family, the time off, the rest. All right, okay, so goodbye.
Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Take care. See you. All right, have a good weekend. See you next AMAS session. Bye-bye.